Yeah. What's going on? Yes, sir. Y'all already know who it is. Yes, sir. Already know what's going on with y'all boys, man. Tap in. Pull up. I say pull up. How about hey. We gonna pull up. How about that after party? Let's get it. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Let's get it. Oh shoot. Damn. Wait, hold on, y'all. What's going on, gang? Y'all gotta hold tight for just a second. Y'all gotta hold tight for just a second. I ain't gonna hold y'all. I ain't got no clothes on. And I forgot something. Y'all gotta hold on. It's hot. I ain't got no clothes on, nigga. Hopped out the shower and got. Let's go now. Alright, we cool. We ready. We ready. We here now. Let's get it. I hope y'all been doing alright. Smoking something, staying prayed up, staying sane. Hold up, where my beautiful lights? Turn them on. Fix that. Yeah, there we go. Oh man, I'm out here, bro. What's going on, gang? What's going on? I gotta change that title real quick. I gotta change that title. Y'all see, boy, I look like I bake muffins, don't I? I look like the Pillsbury dude, but the black one. I look like the black Pillsbury. What's going on, Daniel? What's good, gang? What up, ReActz? I see you. I see you. Hold on, let me get this title out the way, because I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I promised y'all, I promised that it was gonna be a little something different, and it is. It's not no up church today. People want to get my insight on, hold up. What's his name? I think it's, if I spelt it right. I hope I spelled his name right. Yeah. What's going on, gang? Y'all alright? Hold up, where you at? Yup, that's how you spell it. Sowell. Thomas Sowell. Did I spell it right? Let's see, did I spell it right? Hold on. Yes, sir. On the first try, nigga. Spelled it right. What you mean? Spelled it right. I ain't no dummy. Daniel. Yup. What's going on, gang? Y'all alright? Hope y'all been alright, man. I missed y'all. Look, y'all. I got hit in my shit today at boxing. I got hit in my shit, boy. I ain't gonna lie, it felt good because I ate that bitch too. I ate that bitch. I tried to weave it. And then, I went to weave that motherfucker. His glove still nicked me. I was like, okay. Like, okay. It's like, okay, I got hit in my shit today. I don't know why I'm so happy about that. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, nigga, because it's a fight. I expect to get hit. I seen that shiner. Yeah. Yeah, I ain't tripping. No, I got my lick back. Ask Buddy how his ribs feel. I got my lick back. But let's go. Which one y'all want to type into first? He said I seen that shiner. Yeah. I've been trying to Vaseline the hell out of it. But it's cool. I've been putting peroxide and shit on it, so it's already on this little healing process. Which one is the best one, though? That body shot hurt like a motherfucker. He ain't gonna be able to look. You see it? See it? Yeah. It's all good. It's all good, nigga. Ugh, it's all good. What you mean? I love it. That shit build character, boy. I love it. Bitch, hit me. Hit me back. Now I got a reason to beat your ass. Hit me back. Please hit me back. Which one y'all want to watch first, though? Well, shoot, Daniel, it look like you the only one in here right now. Which one you want to watch first, gang? Yes, sir. Y'all already know what I got. Yep. Y'all already know what I got. And just in case, I got my chips too. And just in case, I got my water. We ready for this live stream. We going all the way to 11 o'clock. And then I got to get off and pack. Because I'm leaving in the morning. So I got to get off and pack. But we going all the way to 11 o'clock. Don't matter. All right, shit. Any, mini, miny, mo. He caught me with the fucking hook. Hit him in his fucking ribs. Here we go. Video. Right here. We gonna go Rick Ross. I ain't gonna lie though. This one was cool. Like it was just red, but I ain't gonna lie. My shit was like it was leaking a little. I ain't gonna lie. I felt some type of way. I'm like, man, this bitch ass nigga. He ain't just kept. But I'm like, bro, he barely like he threw that motherfucker. He took and he caught me with it. And I seen that other one coming. I went to and his glove still hit me. I was mad when I seen that. I'm like, I weaved it. Like I'm talking to a video game. I'm like, bro, I weaved it. How he hit me? Nigga, you ain't leaned back far enough. But it's cool though. We ate that motherfucker like some coochie. We ate that motherfucker. Let's go. Let's go. The origin, this one is the origin of Black American culture and Ebonics. Damn, this bitch 2 hours long. This might be the whole stream, y'all. No lie, this might be the whole stream. Nah, I don't see the shiner. So you're good. Oh, you for real? Y'all don't see it? You don't see that, nigga? Look, you don't see that? You don't see that? Right here on my lip? You don't see them? That mean I did good so far. Putting that peroxide, keeping Vaseline on it, it's already healing. That mean I've been doing good with it. He said, nope, my guy. I appreciate that. He said he's showing love. He like, fuck it, nigga, it's a fight. Everybody get hit. Everybody get hit in the fight.
These people are creating a terrible...
Hey, he ain't sleep me, though. Nigga, still standing on them 10 toes. He ain't sleep me.
...problem in our cities. They can't or won't hold a job. They flout the law constantly and neglect their children. They drink too much, and their moral standards would shame an alley cat. For some reason or other, they absolutely refuse to accommodate themselves.
Hold up, y'all. One more. We had 32 seconds. Let me, hold on, let me do this. That way people would know what we reacting to. I forgot about it. I'm sorry. I'm tripping. Well, we had 32 seconds, right? That's what I said. 32 seconds. And paste. The origins of Black American culture and Ebonics. Yeah, there we go. I wish it was in all caps though. Hold on, we finna fix that. The of Black, where is it? Black American culture and Ebonics. Yeah. There we go. All right, let's get it, gang. Oh, I erased it? All right, let's go. There we go. Let's get it. Now we ready. Let's get it. Come on. Where's that? Thomas, Sowell. We had 32 seconds right here.
Themselves to any kind of decent, civilized life. This was said in 1956 in Indianapolis. Not about blacks or other minorities, but about poor whites from the South.
Yo, Thomas Sowell is one of the most brilliant people. Shit, tap in. What's going on, Wojo? We on that. Stay here, man. I picked the longest video because no lie, I ain't gonna be on no later than probably 11:30 because I gotta pack and get up early. I told y'all I'm leaving for the weekend. I'm gonna be back Sunday morning. But and I think I picked a good video because this motherfucker's exactly 2 hours long. So we're gonna go ahead and just probably finish this whole video.
Nor was Indianapolis unique in this respect. A 1951 survey in Detroit found that white Southern...
Hey! Y'all knew it. Y'all set me up. Y'all knew I was gonna do it as soon as I heard it.
Southerners living there were considered undesirable by 21% of those surveyed, compared to 13% who ranked blacks the same way. In the late 1940s, a Chicago employer said frankly, "I told the guard at the plant gate to tell the hillbillies that there were no openings." When poor whites from the South moved into northern cities to work in war plants during the Second World War, occasionally a white Southerner would find that a flat or a furnished room had just been rented when the landlord heard his Southern accent.
The origin of the redneck culture.
More is involved here than a mere parallel between blacks and Southern whites. What is involved is a common subculture that goes back for centuries, which has encompassed everything from ways of talking to attitudes toward education, violence, and sex, and which originated not in the South, but in those parts of the British Isles from which white Southerners came. That culture long ago died out where it originated in Britain, while surviving in the American South. Then it largely died out among both white and black Southerners, while still surviving today in the poorest and worst of the urban black ghettos. It is not uncommon for a culture to survive longer where it is transplanted and to retain characteristics lost in its place of origin. The French spoken in Quebec and the Spanish spoken in Mexico contain words and phrases that have long since become archaic in France and Spain. Regional German dialects persisted among Germans living in the United States after those dialects had begun to die out in Germany itself. A scholar specializing in the history of the South has likewise noted among white Southerners archaic word forms, while another scholar has pointed out the continued use in that region of terms that were familiar at the time of the first Queen Elizabeth. The card game whist is today played almost exclusively by blacks, especially low-income blacks, though in the 18th century it was played by the British upper classes and has since then evolved into bridge. The history of the evolution of this game is indicative of a much broader pattern of cultural evolution in much more weighty things.
Wait, what are you talking about? Spades? Hold on.
Southern whites not only spoke the English language in very different ways from whites in other regions. Their churches, their roads, their homes, their music, their education, their food, and their sex lives were all sharply different from those of other whites. The history of this redneck or cracker culture is more than a curiosity. It has contemporary significance because of its influence on the economic and social evolution of vast numbers of people, millions of blacks and whites, and its continuing influence on the lives and deaths of a residual population in America's black ghettos, which has still not completely escaped from that culture. From early in American history...
Hell no, boy, they be fucking like rabbits in the hood. Look at Pookie and Ray Ray and Tyrone. Majority of black women in love with them. In love with them. They don't want no upright black man. Hell no, they want the niggas. They want the niggas. They want the niggas that's gonna cheat on them in their face, do them dirty, call them bitch, and smack them when they get out of line. They don't want the upright nigga.
Foreign visitors and domestic travelers alike were struck by cultural contrasts between the white population of the South and that of the rest of the country in general, and of New England in particular. In the early 19th century, Alexis de Tocqueville contrasted white Southerners with white Northerners in his classic Democracy in America, and Frederick Law Olmsted did the same later in his books about his travels through the antebellum South, notably Cotton Kingdom. De Tocqueville set a pattern when he concluded that almost all the differences which may be noticed between the Americans in the Southern and in the Northern states have originated in slavery. Olmsted likewise attributed the differences between white Southerners and white Northerners to the existence of slavery in the South. So did widely read antebellum Southern writer Hinton Helper, who declared that slavery, and nothing but slavery, has retarded the progress and prosperity of our portion of the Union. Just as they explained regional differences between whites by slavery.
I feel like I done seen these pictures in history books. Like in the motherfucking, in the school scholastics or something. I feel like I done seen these pictures before.
In a later era would explain differences between blacks and whites nationwide by slavery. Plausible as these explanations may seem in both cases, they will not stand up under a closer scrutiny of history. It is perhaps understandable that the great overwhelming moral curse of slavery has presented a tempting causal explanation of the peculiar subculture of Southern whites, as well as that of blacks. Yet this same subculture had existed among Southern whites and their
I feel like all the books use the same pictures. Hell yeah. Like they be damn sure recycling. That's where recycling came from. They damn sure be using the same stuff, bro. For sure. They be using the same. Damn. Yeah, they for sure though be using the same thing.
ancestors in those parts of the British Isles from which they came, long before they had ever seen a black slave.
It's gonna bug
The
me.
nature of this subculture among people who were called rednecks and crackers in Britain before they ever saw America needs to be explored before.
That house, though, ain't no way in hell. You know they got nothing but fireplaces in there. That house, bro.
We're turning to the question of its current status among ghetto blacks and how developments in the larger society have affected its evolution. Emigration from Britain, like other migrations around the world, was not random in either its origins or its destinations. Most of the Britons who migrated to colonial Massachusetts, for example, came from within a 60-mile radius of the town of Haverhill in East Anglia. The Virginia aristocracy came from different localities in southern and western England. Most of the common white people of the South came from the northern borderlands of England. For centuries, a no-man's land between Scotland and England, as well as from the Scottish Highlands and from Ulster County, Ireland. All these fringe areas were turbulent, if not lawless, regions, where none of the contending forces was able to establish full control and create a stable order. Whether called a Celtic fringe or North Britons, these were people from outside the cultural heartland of England, as their behavior on both sides of the Atlantic showed. Before the era of modern transportation and communication, sharp regional differences were both common and persistent. In some of the counties of colonial Virginia, from nearly 3/4 to 4/5 of the people came from northern Britain, and similar proportions were found in some of the counties of Kentucky and Tennessee, as well as in parts of both the Carolinas. Although they predominated in many parts of the South, such people also had some northern enclaves in colonial America, notably western Pennsylvania, where Ulster Scots settled. What is at least equally important as where particular people settled is when they emigrated from the borderlands, Ulster, and the Scottish Highlands. Scotland in particular progressed enormously in the 18th century. The level from which it began may be indicated by the fact that a visitor to late 18th...
Nigga, rent probably was like a penny back then. And they still couldn't even afford that. That shit is crazy though. Like throughout the generations, throughout the years, this shit still managed, no matter what, to be unaffordable for the working class. Even when it was a penny, bro. Rent was like $5. It's a habit. I gotta quit biting it. Since I feel it, that shit gonna keep irking me.
Century Edinburgh found it noteworthy that its residents no longer threw sewage from their chamber pots out their windows into the street, something that passers-by had long had to be alert for to avoid being splattered. Such crude and unsanitary...
Always just out of reach. Dog! Like, yo, this shit ain't never once been affordable at all since time has started. I wouldn't want to say since time has started. Since America has... The discovering America, the colonization of America. Like, nigga, it has never been affordable. Even before they had, oh, you work for it. Nigga, they had you slaving just for a cow's thigh. You don't even get the whole cow. Before money was invented.
Living had long been characteristic of earlier times, when rural Scots lived in the same primitive shelters with their animals, and vermin abounded. A similar lack of concern with cleanliness was found among others in the borderlands of Britain, and among their descendants on the other side of the Atlantic in the antebellum South. For example, a 19th century politician built up a political machine in the poor white districts of Mississippi by such practices as this. He did not resort to any conventional tactics of kissing dirty babies, but he pleased mothers and fathers in log cabins by taking their children upon his lap and searching for red bugs, lice, and other vermin. Back in the British Isles, the life of the Scottish people was transformed dramatically from the masses to the elites as they advanced from being one of the least educated to one of the most educated peoples in Europe. However, what is
Wait, who was? Who was? Repeat that. Who was? What people?
Mothers and fathers in log cabins by taking their children upon his lap and searching for red bugs, lice, and other vermin. Back in the British Isles, the life of the Scottish people was transformed dramatically from the masses to the elites as they advanced from being one of the least educated to one of the most educated peoples in Europe. However, What is significant here is that much of the migration to the American South occurred before these sweeping social transformations.
Hold on. Y'all know I'm gonna look to see if I can spot it. Detroit right here, so just move up a little. Yeah, because Flint is like right here. Flint is like right here. We right by the thumb. Flint like right here. That's where I'm from. Flint right there. They go Detroit, Lansing right there. Yeah, Flint is about right here, like on the thumb part of the mitten.
This timing was crucial, as Professor Grady McWhiney has pointed out in his book, Cracker Culture. Had the South been peopled by 19th century Scots, Welshmen, and Ulstermen, the course of Southern history would doubtless have been radically different. 19th century Scottish and Scotch-Irish immigrants did in fact fit quite comfortably into Northern American society. Significantly, the Irish, who retained their Celtic ways, did not. But only a trickle of the flood of 19th century immigrants came into the South. The ancestors of the vast majority of Southerners arrived in America before the Anglicization of Scotland, Wales, and Ulster had advanced very far. In earlier centuries,
Buddy ass was a whole pack right there. Buddy ass was a whole pack.
Scotland was a poor and backward country, like Wales and Ireland, and like the turbulent northern borderlands of England, where the Scots and the English fought wars and committed atrocities against each other for centuries. Local feuding clans and freebooting marauders kept this region in an uproar, even when there were no military hostilities between the English and Scottish kingdoms. Ulster County had a different kind of turbulence, as the English and Scottish settlers there encountered the hostility and terrorist activities of the conquered, dispossessed, and embittered indigenous Irish population. These were the parts of Britain from which most people migrated to the American South, before the political and cultural unification of the British Isles or the standardization of the English language. The rednecks of these regions were what one social historian has called some of the most disorderly inhabitants of a deeply disordered land. In this world of impotent laws, daily dangers, and lives that could be snuffed out at any moment, the snatching at whatever fleeting pleasures presented themselves was at least understandable. Certainly prudence and long-range planning of one's life had no such payoff in this chaotic world as in more settled and orderly societies under the protection of effective laws. Books, businesses, technology, and science were not the kinds of things likely to be promoted or admired in the world of the rednecks and crackers. Manliness, and the forceful projection of that manliness to others, and advertising of one's willingness to fight, and even to put one's life on the line, were at least plausible means of gaining whatever measure of security was possible in a lawless region and a violent time.
Yeah.
The kinds of attitudes and
toughest soldiers used to get it all.
Cultural values produced.
The bravest, courageous soldiers used to have it all.
Produced by centuries of living under such conditions did not disappear very quickly, even when social evolution in North America slowly and almost imperceptibly created a new and different world with different objective prospects.
If you're the parent of a college-bound high school student, then I would love to help you out, okay? So here are 3 of the most common reasons.
The pattern among whites in the American South.
What the rednecks, or crackers, brought with them across the ocean was a whole constellation of attitudes, values, and behavior patterns that might have made sense in the world in which they had lived for centuries, but which would prove to be counterproductive in the world to which they were going, and counterproductive to the blacks who would live in their midst for centuries before emerging into freedom and migrating to the great urban centers of the United States, taking with them...
This nigga didn't even use a blinker. This gotta be in Texas. He ain't even used a blinker.
But which would prove to be counterproductive in the world to which they were going.
Watch that black Toyota Camry.
And counterproductive to the blacks who would live in their midst for centuries before emerging into freedom and migrating to the great urban centers of the United States.
I still give him a ticket. He turned it on before. Yeah. He'd get a ticket.
Taking with them similar values.
He'd still get a ticket.
The cultural values and social patterns prevalent among Southern whites included an aversion to work, proneness to violence, neglect of education, sexual promiscuity, improvidence, drunkenness, lack of entrepreneurship, reckless searches for excitement, lively music and dance, and a style of religious oratory marked by strident rhetoric, unbridled emotions, and flamboyant imagery.
So if I'm right, it sounds like he's finna say black culture picked up on the southern stuff that they was doing back in the day during slavery, and it became our culture, is what it sounds like he's getting at.
This oratorical style carried over
Is that how you get rap culture today?
into the political
what he's saying?
oratory of the region
Reckless
in both the
gang
Jim
banging,
Crow
all of
era
this shit.
and the Civil Rights era.
No
And
drive,
has
no
continued
entrepreneurship. They just want to gang bang, have sex, and have baby mamas and shoot shit up, and smoke weed and get high all day. Pop perks. Yup. See, told you, man. I be listening, bro. I can listen to somebody talk for 5 minutes, and now I know everything about them, bro. They intentions, if they actually hear with ill will or not. I let somebody talk for about 5 minutes, and I know everything I need to know about them.
on into our own times among black politicians, preachers, and activists. Touchy pride, vanity, and boastful self-dramatization were also part of this redneck culture among people from regions of Britain where the civilization was the least developed. They boast and lack self-restraint, Olmsted said, after observing their descendants in the American antebellum South. While Professor Grady McWhiney's cracker culture is perhaps the most thorough historical study of the values and behavioral patterns of white Southerners, many other scholarly studies have turned up very similar patterns, even when they differed in some ways as to the causes. Professor David Hackett Fisher's Albion Seed, for example, challenges the Celtic connection thesis put forth by Professor McWhiney, but shows many of the same cultural patterns among the same people, both in Britain and in the American South. Popular writings of the 19th and 20th centuries have likewise described similar behavior, including the Indianapolis residents' comments on white Southern migrants to that city, which sounds so much like what many have said about ghetto blacks. None of this is meant to claim that these patterns have remained rigidly unchanged over the centuries, or that there are literally no differences between whites and blacks in any aspects of this subculture. However, what is remarkable is how pervasive and how close the similarities have been. Centuries before black pride became a fashionable phrase, there was cracker pride, and it was very much the same kind of pride. It was not pride in any particular achievement or set of behavioral standards or moral principles adhered to. It was instead a touchiness about anything that might be even remotely construed as a personal slight, much less an insult, combined with a willingness to erupt into violence over it. New Englanders were baffled about this kind of pride among crackers. Observing such people, the Yankees could not understand what they had to feel proud about. However, this kind of pride is perhaps best illustrated by an episode reported in Professor McWhiney's Cracker Culture. When an Englishman...
My fault, y'all. I heard the garage. That's my sister. Yeah, that's my sister.
Tired of waiting for a Southerner to start working on a house he had contracted to build, hired another man to do the job. The enraged Southerner, who considered himself dishonored, vowed, "Tomorrow morn I will come with men and 20 rifles, and I will have your life, or you shall have mine." In the vernacular of our later times,
I would have been like, motherfucker, pull up.
he had been dissed, and he was not going to stand for it, regardless of the consequences for himself or others. The history of the antebellum South is full of episodes showing the same pattern, whether expressed in the highly formalized duels of the aristocracy.
So when I'm hearing it, that's where niggas get that from. You stepped on my shoes. Even saying sorry ain't good enough. He feel disrespected. So he gonna beat your ass. They finna jump you in the club, and then they still gonna turn around. After they win, they still gonna turn around and wait to see what car you get in, and then blick your shit up at the light. As if they didn't just beat the dog shit out of you in the club already for stepping on his shoes. This is crazy.
Or in the
same beefs 100 years later. Yeah, same shit. Same shit. It's literally the same shit.
Holds barred style of fighting called rough and tumble.
Same shit, different day. Same shit, different race.
Among the common folk, a style that included biting off ears and gouging out eyes. It was not simply that particular isolated individuals did such things. Social approval was given to these practices, as illustrated by this episode in the antebellum South. A crowd gathered and arranged itself in an impromptu ring. The contestants were asked if they wished to fight fair or rough and tumble. When they chose rough and tumble, a roar of approval rose from the multitude.
So
this particular fight ended with the loser's nose bitten off, his ears torn off, and both his eyes gouged out, after which the victor himself, maimed and bleeding, was chaired round the grounds to the cheers of the crowd. This rough and tumble style of fighting was also popular in the southern highlands of Scotland, where grabbing an opponent's testicles and
So it sounds like gladiators.
attempting to castrate him by hand was also an accepted practice.
What? Castrate him? Bro, you know how hard you gotta be pulling nigga balls off with your own hands? I don't care what you say, you somewhat gay. Out of all things to grab, you gonna grab my balls, bro? Huh? I'm streaming. Who is it? What?
I bought you some snacks.
What is it? What snacks?
I got cookies, chocolate, and donut from the party I came back from.
Oh.
Grab some.
Well, look, y'all, I got snacks.
You want the chocolate too?
Oh, I got chocolate. I don't even celebrate, but okay. Yeah, just give me the napkin. I only want one. I don't want my stomach to be hurt. Appreciate it.
You like them?
Oh. Delicioso.
Scottish Highlanders were, in centuries past, part
Damn,
of the
I should have took the cookies. Why I take the chocolates? Damn, I should have took the cookies. Damn.
Celtic fringe.
Damn, I wasn't
North
thinking.
Britain,
I should have took the cookies.
outside the orbit of English culture,
Damn.
not only as it existed in England, but also in the Scottish lowlands.
Y'all gotta hold tight real quick.
The Highlanders lagged
We
far
gonna get back
behind
to
the
y'all.
lowlanders in education and economic progress, as well
He
as
said, damn, nobody brings me shit. Gang, I think this is like once in about the last 8 years, nigga. If she was high, this shit wouldn't even made it home. She would have told me I had bought you snacks, but I ate it on the way here. She had to be sober.
as in the speaking of the English language.
She
Though
had to be
Gaelic was still
sober.
widely spoken by Highlanders in the 19th century, not only in Scotland itself, but also in North Carolina and in Australia, where immigrants from the Scottish Highlands were unable to communicate with English-speaking people, including lowland Scots who had also immigrated. In the Hebrides Islands off Scotland, Gaelic had still not completely died out in the middle of the 20th century. What is important in the pride and violence patterns among rednecks and crackers was not that particular people did particular things at particular times and places, nor is it necessary to attempt to quantify such behavior. What is crucial is that violence growing out of such pride had social approval. As Professor McWhiney pointed out, men often killed and went free in the South, just as in earlier times they had in Ireland and Scotland. As one observer in the South noted, enemies would meet, exchange insults, and one would shoot the other down, professing that he had acted in self-defense because he believed the victim was armed. When such a story was
Sound like the hood. Shit, live by the gun, die by the gun. Rather you than me. I'd rather be in jail than dead. What you hear gangbangers say? I know that ain't his cousin of the dead op that my homeboy killed. Bro, this shit don't sound no different than the hood today.
told in court, in a community
This
where
shit
it
is
is not a
wild.
strange thing for men to carry about their persons deadly weapons, each member of the jury feels that he would have done the same thing under similar circumstances.
I just
So
said
that in
that.
condemning him, they would but condemn themselves. The actions of Southern courts often amazed outsiders.
What just blew me is he said it was often approved by other people. When you look at the hood, everybody in the hood somewhat agree with that shit. You better keep that bitch on you. You better keep it on you. Cause niggas know, bro, you kill, nobody's telling. Nobody's helping the cops. Nobody's finna go tell your family who did it. And the whole hood know who did it. That ain't our problem, bro.
Professor McWhiney said. But what may be even more revealing of widespread attitudes were the cases that never even went to trial. As another study of white Southerners put it, to many rural Southerners, Rather than a set of legal statutes, justice remained a matter of societal norms allowing for respect of property rights, individual honor, and
AKA, look at Chicago.
Get back, gang.
It's what he just said. Niggas didn't go to court. They didn't look for juries or nobody to fix it. It was often about respect, whatever he just said. Get back, gang. They like, fuck it. We gonna get back for him. My homie's gonna do it. We gonna get back for the homie, for the dead brother, all of them. This shit is crazy.
and a maximum of personal independence. Any violation of this pattern amounted to a breach of justice, requiring a specific response from the injured party. Upon learning that a youthful neighbor had approached his wife in an overly friendly manner, Robert Leard of Tangipahoa, Louisiana, promptly tracked the young man down and killed him. Under the Piney Woods Code of Justice, anything less would have invited shame and ridicule upon the Leard family. Intensity of personal pride was connected by Olmsted with the fiend-like street fights of the South. He mentioned an episode of public murder with impunity. A gentleman of veracity, now living in the South, told me that among his friends he had once numbered 2 young men who were themselves intimate friends, till one of them, taking offense at some foolish words uttered by the other, challenges him. A large crowd assembled to see the duel, which took place on a piece of prairie ground.
What that sound like?
Back door open. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't help but hear this shit in terms of where I'm from. That sound like that back door open. Let's see what he just said. 2 friends talk and say some things that's disrespectful. Now he feel he got to do this. That back door open. Niggas you went to school with, grew up with. Now they out here blicking at each other. And they was just on the same side, throwing up the same game. Like he said, the dude was talking to his wife. If he didn't go do it, it'll bring shame to the family. Nigga, I'd rather go to jail than look like a bitch. Sounds like the hood.
The combatants came armed with rifles, and at the first interchange of shots, the challenged man fell disabled by a ball in the thigh. The other, throwing down his rifle, walked toward him, and kneeling by his side, drew a Bowie knife and deliberately butchered him. The crowd of bystanders not only permitted this, but the execrable assassin still lives in the community, has since married, and, as far as my informant could judge...
I just said that. And the whole hood know who did it. Nobody's gonna tell who killed this man, though. Like he said, and the nigga that did it, the serial killer, still stays in the hood, turned around and got married. Everybody know who it is. They see him at the store. Oh, that's Pete. That's the dude that knocked off Wentworth. I don't know. I just made up a name. Nobody's gonna do nothing to him, though, because they know if they fail, what he gonna do to them. We seen what that nigga did to Wentworth. Shot that nigga in the thigh, walked up and beheaded him with a fucking butter knife. Nobody's finna tell the cops. Nobody's finna tell that man's family who did it or nothing. The whole hood gonna play slow and act like they don't know what's going on, when everybody in the fucking hood knows who did it.
His social position has been rather...
This is crazy, yeah. This is crazy, gang. This is crazy. This shit is crazy.
...advanced than otherwise, from thus dealing with his enemy. Again...
It's just like it reminds me of dogfighting, how everybody don't understand, like, bro, white people was dogfighting before black people made it a thing and found the hustle. White people was dogfighting pit bulls. It was only a problem when niggas did it and started making money off of it. Start using it as a source of income. Then dogfighting became illegal. It became animal abuse and animal cruelty. But before, it was pure entertainment. They ain't here placing bets and doing it all. We only do what they was doing in it, bro. That's why I always say ain't nothing new under the sun, bro. It ain't a crime until the niggas get a hold of it. It ain't a crime until the niggas start making money off of it.
Here is not the isolated incident itself, but the set of social attitudes which allowed such incidents to take place publicly with impunity.
Stop falling.
The killer knowing in advance that what he was doing had community approval. Moreover, such attitudes went back for centuries on both sides of the Atlantic, at least among the particular people concerned. During the era when dueling became a pattern among upper-class Americans, between the Revolutionary War and the Civil War, it was particularly prevalent in the South. As a social history of the United States noted,
I believe it. Red Dead Redemption is based in the South. I believe it.
Southern statesmen who rose to prominence after 1790, hardly one
Bro, we only 21 minutes in and my mind is blown.
Involved in a duel. Editors of Southern newspapers became involved in duels so often that cartoonists depicted them with a pen in one hand and a dueling pistol in the other. Most duels arose not over substantive issues, but over words considered insulting. At lower social levels, Southern
Considered
feuds...
insulting. Fuck your dad, homie. Fuck you, bitch. You a lame, nigga. Fuck your hood. Words that people consider insulting. But it shouldn't be, because that ain't your hood. You was just born there. That's not your hood. You don't own the block. You don't own no property on this street. But yet you ready to act as if you do. He finna die behind this damn gang. He finna die behind this block.
such as that between the Hatfields and the McCoys,
Crazy.
which began in a dispute over a pig and ultimately claimed more
That's
than
why I
20
always said, bro,
lives.
gang banging ain't nothing new. Look at old mobs, look at old gangster videos. Gang banging ain't nothing new.
Became legendary. It has been estimated that, while at least 3/4 of the settlers in colonial New England originated in the lowland southeastern half of Britain, a similarly large proportion of the population of the South originated in the Scottish Highlands, Ireland, Wales, or the northern and western uplands of England.
It might be too late for that.
Those arriving from Ireland in colonial times would have been from Ulster County, where Scots and Englishmen settled, since substantial immigration of the indigenous Irish did not begin until near the middle of the 19th century. Radically different cultures could develop and persist during this era before transportation and communication developed to the point of promoting widespread interactions among people in different regions. In colonial America, the people of the English borderlands and of the Celtic fringe were seen by contemporaries as culturally quite distinct and were socially unwelcome. Mob action prevented a shipload of Ulster Scots from landing in Boston in 1719, and the Quaker leaders of eastern Pennsylvania encouraged Ulster Scots to settle out in western Pennsylvania, where they acted as a buffer to the Indians, as well as being a constant source of friction and conflict with the Indians. It was not just in the North that crackers and rednecks were considered to be undesirables. Southern plantation owners with poor whites living on adjoining land would often offer to buy their land for more than it was worth in order to be rid of such neighbors. Because there were no racial differences to form separate statistical categories for these North Britons and for other whites who settled in the South, or in particular enclaves elsewhere, indirect indicators must serve as proxies for these cultural differences. Names are among these indicators. Edward, for example, was a popular name in Virginia and in Wessex, England, from which many Virginians had emigrated. But the first 40 classes of undergraduates at Harvard College contained only one man named Edward. It would be nearly 2 centuries before Harvard enrolled anyone named Patrick, even though that was a common name in western Pennsylvania, where the Ulster Scots settled. This says something not only about the social and geographic differences of the times, but also about how regionalized the naming pattern.
It just seems like everyone was an asshole to everyone who wasn't their own family back then, no matter what race. Yeah, if you weren't family, it's fuck you. This is the same mentality everybody's starting to have today in 2024.
Patterns were then, in contrast to the fact that no one today finds it particularly strange when an Asian American has such non-Asian first names as Kevin or Michelle. Even where there was no conflict.
Hey, that's funny. That's funny. How you say Asian Americans got non-Asian American names like Kevin? I ain't gonna lie. The other day I had to call AT&T about my phone because it was tripping. Bro, I ain't gonna lie. It was an Indian dude. He said his name was Matthew. I was like, bro, your name ain't Matthew, bro.
Hostility involved. Southerners often showed a reckless disregard for human life, including their own. For example, the racing of steamboats that happened to encounter each other on the rivers of the South often ended with exploding boilers, especially when the excited competition led to the tying down of safety valves in order to build up more pressure to generate more speed. An impromptu race between steamboats that encountered each other on the Mississippi illustrates the pattern. On board one boat was an old lady who, having bought a winter stock of bacon, pork, etc., was returning to her home on the banks of the Mississippi. Fun lovers on board both boats insisted upon a race. Cheers and drawn pistols obliged the captains to cooperate. As the boats struggled to outdistance each other, excited passengers demanded more speed. Despite every effort, the boats raced evenly until the old lady directed her slaves to throw all her casks of bacon into the boilers. Her boat then moved ahead of the other vessel, which suddenly exploded. Clouds of splinters and human limbs darkened the sky. On the undamaged boat, passengers shouted their victory. But above their
Man, them niggas was drag racing steamboats, bro. I'm telling you.
cheers could be heard the shrill voice of the
And they finna pop the captain if he lose. It's a steamboat. How fast you want it to go? They finna shoot his ass for not making that motherfucker dry like a scat.
old lady crying, "I did it! I did it! It's all my bacon!" On the Mississippi and other western rivers of the United States, as it existed in the early 19th century, it has been estimated that 30% of all the steamboats were lost in accidents. Part of this may have been due to deficiencies in the early steamboats themselves, but much of it was due to the recklessness with which they were operated on southern rivers. The comments of a fireman on a Mississippi steamboat of that era may suggest why a river voyage was considered more dangerous than crossing the Atlantic, at a time when sinkings in the Atlantic were by no means rare. "Talk about northern steamers," the fireman of a Mississippi steamboat sneered to an Eastern traveler in 1844. "You don't need no spunk to navigate them waters. You ain't bust a boiler in 5 years. But I tell you, stranger,
Right.
it takes a
Like nitros. They putting bacon in that bitch.
man to ride one of these half-alligator boats, head on a snag, high pressures, valve soldered down, 600 souls on board, and in danger of going to the devil."
What the hell did he just say? What did he say?
I always like your love songs.
Oh, this that Bob Marley movie?
Bob, the world isn't ready for your music.
They don't want the world to change.
I'm going to see this tomorrow.
Sometimes the messenger has to become the message.
We going to go see that.
This was no mere idle talk. Among the steamboat explosions in the South, one on the Mississippi in 1838 killed well over 100 people, and another near Baton Rouge in 1859 killed more than half of the 400 people on board and badly injured more than half the survivors. Southerners were just as reckless on land, whether in escapades undertaken for the excitement of the moment or in the many fights and deaths resulting from some insult or slight among people touchy about their honor and dignity. Again, all of this went back to a way of life in the turbulent regions of Britain from which white Southerners came. Nor is it hard to recognize in these attitudes clear parallels to the behavior and attitudes of ghetto gangs today, who kill over a look or a word or any action that can be construed as dissing them.
I just said that like
Pride
10 minutes
had
ago.
yet another side to it. Among the
For a
definitions
block
of
you
a
don't even
cracker in
own.
the Oxford Dictionary
A gang
is
you
a
ain't even
braggart,
create.
one who talks trash in today's vernacular. A wisecracker. More than mere wisecracks were involved, however. The pattern is one said by Professor McWhiney to go back to descriptions of ancient Celts as boasters and threateners, and given to bombastic self-dramatization. Examples today come readily to mind, not only from ghetto life and gangsta rap, but also from militant black leaders, spokesmen, or activists. What is painfully ironic is that such attitudes and behavior are projected today as aspects of a distinctive black identity, when in fact, they are part of a centuries-old pattern among the whites in whose midst generations of blacks lived in the South.
Yeah.
Any broad-brush discussion of cultural patterns must, of course, not claim that all people, whether white or black, had the same culture, much less.
He would piss me off, bro. If you don't get that shit out the way, all these damn cars going past you, bro, and you and this motherfucker just walking with your vehicle, basically. Get that shit out the way, bro. And stop parking in the sun. Put it in the driveway, in the garage.
Less to the same degree. There are
Look,
not
what is he
only
doing?
changes over time, there are cross-currents at any given time. Nevertheless, it is useful to see the outlines of a general pattern. even when that pattern erodes over time and at varying rates among different subgroups.
Damn, he just cut him off.
The violence for which white Southerners became most lastingly notorious was lynching. Like other aspects of the redneck and cracker culture, it has often been attributed to race or slavery. In fact, however, most lynching victims in the antebellum South were white. Economic considerations alone would prevent a slave owner from lynching his own slave or tolerating anyone else's doing so. It was only after the Civil War that the emancipated blacks became the principal targets of lynching. But by then, Southern vigilante violence had been a tradition for more than a
We don't have traffic like that in CT. What's that, Cincinnati? What's CT?
century in North America, and even longer back in the regions of Britain from which crackers and rednecks came, where retributive justice was.
How late am I? 30 minutes late. 29 minutes and 25 seconds. Connecticut. Oh, hell yeah. Y'all ain't got traffic. Triple H from Connecticut, though. One of my favorite wrestlers. Triple H from Connecticut.
Was often left in private hands. Even the burning cross of the Ku Klux Klan has been traced back to the fiery cross of Old Scotland, used by feuding clans. Observers of the white population of the antebellum South often commented not only on their poverty, but also on their lack of industriousness.
What's going on, Lane? You good, though?
Entrepreneurship. A contemporary characterized many white Southerners
How you
as
been?
too
How
poor
was
to
work?
keep
How was
slaves
walking the dogs?
and too proud to work. A landmark history of agriculture in the antebellum South described the poor whites this way. They cultivated in a casual and careless fashion
I thought that was weed.
small patches of corn or rice, sweet potatoes, cowpeas, and garden products. Women and children did a large part of the work. The men spent their time principally in hunting or idleness. The men were inveterate drunkards.
Wait a minute. Did y'all just hear that? The women and children did large portions of the farming, picking the crops. The men went out and humped. Oh my gosh. That too. They probably was fucking. They probably was on some weird shit back then. They went out and hunted. But yet today you hear these girls sitting here hollering, I don't do 50-50. I want 100%. Bitch. Bitch, shut up. You gonna do something.
Drunkards, and some.
And you still expect me to come home and still help around daily essentials around the house? What is you for then? What is you here for? If I don't want kids right now, what is you here for? Like, come on, bro.
Sometimes the women joined them in drinking inferior whiskey.
I got my combed hair with saw briars. Other than that, it was great. Thank you. For sure. No problem, bro.
Licentiousness was
I know that
prevalent
shit feel
among
good.
them.
I'm getting my hair combed
Among
tomorrow.
their equals, the men were quarrelsome and inclined to crimes of violence. The poor whites were densely ignorant. Their labors tended to be intermittent, often when they were pressed for money rather than a steady employment career. Frederick Law Olmsted called it lazy poverty, with whatever work.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Work. The men spent their time principally in hunting or idleness. The men were inveterate drunkards, and sometimes the women joined them in drinking inferior whiskey.
Did I hear that right?
Licentiousness was prevalent among them. Among their equals, the men were quarrelsome and inclined to crimes of violence.
I'm trying to make sure
The
I heard
poor
that
whites
right.
were densely ignorant. Their labors tended to be intermittent.
In other words, they labor tend to be intermittent. The shit that niggas do in the hood. Sell drugs. Pimp. Shit that motherfuckers don't want to have to get up and go to work to do. The easiest way to get a check. Nowadays, all the hoes on OnlyFans. Twerking on TikTok. Twerking on your Instagram feed. All the niggas is red pill, blue pill content. Everybody got the perfect self-care routine. Lazy shit.
Often when they were pressed for money rather than a steady employment career.
People don't see how this shit is slowly trickling away back to the past.
Frederick Law Olmsted called
Robbing,
it lazy poverty,
selling dope.
with whatever work they did being done in a thoughtless manner.
This shit is crazy.
Summarizing his observations in the antebellum South, Olmsted said, "I know that while men seldom want an abundance of coarse food in the cotton state,
Nothing new under the sun, bro. Nothing changes. It's just repackaged with a different label. It's just repackaged with a different label. That way you won't realize it's the same product. 30, 20, 100, 200 years later. It's the same shit.
The proportion of the free white men who live as well in any aspect as our working classes in the North, on an average, is small. And that the citizens of the cotton states, as a whole, are poor. They work little, and that little, badly. They earn little, they sell little, they buy little, and they have little, very little, of the common comforts and
nigga, we get it. They got little. Damn, what else you gonna tell us? Never mind.
Of civilized life. Their destitution is not material only.
Before the old ones can warn them, it ain't even that, bro. These niggas just don't listen. The old ones can warn all day long. Nobody's gonna fucking listen.
It is intellectual.
Not these times. That was back when you was our age. It's a different time now. They will not listen for shit. You can't tell these young folks nothing today. Why I'm saying it like I ain't 25. You can't tell these young folks nothing today, bro.
Moral.
I saw.
They will listen. I mean, they will. They give warning, bro. They just don't listen.
I saw shooting.
I feel your pain, Brody.
When Olmsted found work done efficiently, promptly, and well during his travels through the South, when he found well-run businesses, good libraries, impressive churches, and efficiently functioning institutions in general, he almost invariably found them to be run by Northerners, foreigners, or Jews. Nor was he the only visiting observer to reach such conclusions. Another observed that nearly all of the Old South's successful storekeepers were either Yankees or Yankee-trained Southerners.
15, 10, 20 cent? Nigga, a box of bullets was only 20 cent? The fuck was they shooting? 3 millimeters, nigga? A box of bullets is only 20 cent?
A French visit.
Bro, I went to Academy and it's a 20-round box of the 300 Blackouts was 50-something, was like 40, 50-something dollars.
Said that when you saw a plantation in better condition than others, you would often discover that it was owned by someone from the North. A history of Southern agriculture presented this picture of North Carolina in the early 18th century. Many of the inhabitants...
The dollar was backed up by actual gold. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. The dollar was actually worth something back then.
Borderers who lived a crude, half-savage existence.
Bro, when you say shit like that and think about it, America is falling. This country is collapsing. The dollar is collapsing. I tell everybody, bro, I don't care who it is, what you say. We don't got too much long before America is a third world country. I promise you, we don't got much longer before America is a third world country. Nobody wants to reproduce. Everybody either gay or they think they too good to have kids. These girls want to use up their youth and their bodies up to mid-40s, 50s. You ain't even in the shape to have kids. These niggas don't want to do shit but die and gangbang. And then by the time they do wake up, they ain't even trying to get married. Shit, I ain't gonna lie. I'd be one of the niggas saying that too. Like, gee, I don't know if I'm getting married in these times. What that sound like? What that mean for the next generation? School is on a decline. Like, bro, when it comes to careers and jobs, when it comes to like lawyers, doctors, that shit is on a decline. Everybody is on entrepreneurship. All the girls, OnlyFans, hair, nails, models, eyelashes, aesthetics, waxes, all of that. All entrepreneur stuff. All the dudes rapping, selling dope, making businesses, you know what I'm saying? Any type of thing, like cars, or like they doing oil changes, they fixing cars. Nobody's going to school for actual careers no more like that. That shit is on the decline. These niggas be having drag queen shows. What the hell you think that mean for the next generation? These 8-year-olds going to school and watching talent shows of drag queens. Y'all ever seen Big Mama House 2? Andrew was jumping off the top bunk, eating Brillo pads. He ain't going to Harvard. That's our next generation. These niggas ain't going to Harvard. They ain't even fucking going to an HBCU.
Dependent mainly on the product of the range and under the necessity of eating meat without bread. There were also many thriftless and lazy families who had been attracted to
niggas ain't paying credit back. Everybody just said fuck school loans.
country by the mild climate and the ease with which a bare livelihood could be obtained by hunting and fishing, raising a little corn and keeping a few head of swine, and possibly a cow or
In
two
America,
on the range.
they think the best way to get out of debt is produce more dollars, make more money, make more debt. Niggas in the hood can tell you all about that, bro. Having debt and getting more debt ain't gonna create shit but more debt.
On the other hand, there were small farmers, many of northern or European extraction, living industrious and thrifty lives amidst a rude abundance and considerable diversity of food supplies. They maintained good-sized herds of cattle, swine, and sheep, and the women made butter and cheese.
That's why this video is crazy, because this is what America will revert back to. For sure. It's coming back to that. It's coming back to that, bro. If your ass don't know how to fish, you don't know how to skin an animal, you too queasy to kill an animal, you love dogs, rabbits, and life that damn much where you can't kill an animal, you finna starve. Oh, you can't kill animals, you can't do that? Well, shit, yet alone, it's bad. But you ain't got the heart, the stomach, or the gut to rob, to steal and take, to kill for what you need. You finna starve, because the ones that can't fish, that can't hunt, one thing they can do is hunt humans. They will kill your ass. They will rob you. It's just like today. They ain't gonna work. They just gonna sell dope, sell a little weed or something, pimp a few hoes, and then rob the nigga that's up, that's flashing all his money. But what you gonna do in them times where it ain't that? It's back to beginning of times. Everybody gotta go out. The women at home taking care of the kids, handling the farm, handling the garden, and the men is out hunting. What you think that's gonna come to? When you in this motherfucker walking with a damn line of fish, 12 to 20 fish on your line, and you walking dolo, and you see about 10 to 18 niggas pop out them woods. That's quite some fish you got there, boy. Where you heading? Like, oh-wee. All these people, I think no one should have guns. Take guns away. Ooh-wee. You say that now until they pop out them damn bushes on you 20 deep. And you ain't got no pipe at all. Not even a damn 8-shot fucking... No, you ain't even got an SD-40, bro. And that's 16 in there. You ain't even got an SD-40, bro. You ain't got nothing. We living in them times, boy, they ain't even gonna sit there. You giving it up ain't enough. Man, look. The chances of you going back to go get 12 to 20 more fish is high, more than it is slim. We finna just take your fish and kill you now, bro, because that can be us, one of us potentially getting them fish. We is approaching them times, bro. We is approaching them times, bro. Man, I'm telling you, bro, I love shit like this, cause niggas be slipping. I'm not buying these damn guns for nothing. I'm not buying these guns to be no vigilante. It is fuck the government, but the government is not our biggest problem. It's the collapse of this country is.
Borderers, at that point, would refer to people from the borderlands of Britain, those included in what Professor McWhiney and others have called the Celtic Fringe, and what Professor Fisher called North Britons. While the making of butter and cheese might seem to be an unremarkable activity in most rural communities, butter and cheese making by these farmers of...
My fault, y'all. I ain't want y'all to hear me chewing, but think about it. Think about how dope dealing is. They don't just rob the biggest dope dealer. They don't just kill the top dog of the gang. They don't just knock off his soldiers. They knock off the soldiers, then eventually they knock him off too. They don't just go rob him and hit his stash. They hit the stash and kill him because they like, bro, what's stopping this nigga from getting it again? He's competition. Get his ass gone now. Run inside his house. Follow him home. Bro, this shit is not a game. People don't peep that this shit is getting back to that. It's the same shit. Niggas was robbing you for a baby mule. Not even a full-grown cow. They'll rob you for a little cow. That's the same thing as a nigga robbing you for a pound. That's the same thing as the dude running off on the plug. It's the same thing.
Non-Southerner origins was in fact exceptional in the South.
He has one about the political parties, I think. They the cause of it. For sure. Damn sure the Democrats. They really responsible for the fall of the black community. Deceiving like a motherfucker. They deceptive as hell. I like his economics one about how money moves and why. And what's crazy when you think about it, money ain't even real, bro.
Olmsted's complaints during his travels through the antebellum
What's stopping
South.
you right now from looking in your account? You see your shit got $1,000, $2,000, $20, $500, $350, $272.16 with a $40 charge pending. What's stopping you from waking up tomorrow and that bitch say 0? Or that motherfucker just say ... It ain't even loading the number. Nothing, bro. Nothing is stopping it. This is crazy.
Was the scarcity of butter.
This is
despite
crazy.
all the cows he saw.
How your phone say no SIM, no service, and you like, bro, I pay my phone bill. That's how your shit gonna be loading up when you look at your account. No service.
Among plantation owners, he said. As for butter, some have heard of it, some have seen it, but few have eaten it. Hard data support his conclusions about the scarcity of butter in the antebellum South, despite an abundance of cows. In 1860, the South had 40% of all the dairy cows in the country, but produced just 20% of the butter and only 1% of the cheese. As a study of antebellum Southern agriculture noted,
some low numbers.
Attempts to stimulate greater attention to commercial production were futile, and even the bluegrass regions imported a large proportion of the cheese consumed. The study concluded, in short, while the South abounded in cattle, the reported production of dairy products was very small.
I ain't gonna lie, that's exactly how I be, boy. I be sucking on titties.
Table based on census statistics shows that some of the southern states, such as Texas and Florida, had far more cattle per capita than important dairy states like Vermont and New York.
Look at
And
it.
in
He like,
most
that's
of
some good titty milk.
the southern states, cattle per capita were nearly or quite as numerous as in the northern states.
My wife just don't know. She getting a hoe. What? She got a motherfucking whoremonger. That's not a whoremonger. He just saving it up for you. Whoever you may be.
Yet the production of butter and cheese per capita in most of the southern states was insignificant as compared with per capita production in the principal northeastern states. A speaker before an agricultural society in Orange County, North Carolina said, "It is a reproach to us as farmers, and no little deduction from our wealth, that we suffer the population of our towns and villages to supply themselves with butter from another Orange County in New York." In colonial times, butter was imported from as far away as Ireland. Where butter was not imported, it was often produced locally by people of non-Southern origins. As a scholarly history of Southern agriculture reported, in 1858, the dairies producing whole milk for the city of Louisville, Kentucky, were described as probably as well conducted as any in the country, but almost without exception, managed by Swiss or German operatives. Meanwhile, a newspaper in South Carolina said in 1857, "Good butter is indeed a luxury to almost every planter in the southern country, and there is, perhaps, no one article of food that is more eagerly sought after."
And we're back with March Sadness, and the team is looking down the barrel of a 455 meeting.
They're gassed, Jill.
In antebellum Virginia, a Richmond newspaper likewise complained of the scarcity of...
I hope he tells about when the Gov took over the dairies and had all these cows full of cheese. But that was after World War II, I think. Man.
Good butter, saying
We'll
that
see
the
if he
quality
get to that. He
of
might.
butter available in the local market would
I don't
hardly
see
be
why he
thought
wouldn't.
good enough to grease a cartwheel.
Why
When
that soldier
considering
got
legislation,
why that soldier got B cups? What the fuck? Ain't he supposed to be fit? This soldier, what the fuck? Is that a man or a woman?
complained of the scarcity of good butter, saying that the quality of butter available in the local market would hardly be thought good enough to grease a cartwheel. When considering legislation to try to remedy the situation, a member of the Virginia legislature attributed the poor quality of that state's butter to the carelessness with which Virginia farmers prepared it. One reason for the contrast between the abundance of butter and cheese produced by German farmers in states like Wisconsin, for example, and the scarcity of butter and cheese in the South was that German farmers, wherever they were located, tended to build fences and huge barns for their livestock and to feed them there during the winter. Southerners more often let their cows and hogs roam freely during the winter, even though this meant that in the spring they turned up half-starved and it took the summer for them to put on normal weight.
Right.
This, too, was a continuation of patterns found among their ancestors in the British Isles, and was part of a more general pattern of carelessness. Many other observers noticed the broken fences and the stunted cattle running at large, unfed and unprotected. Their manure was put to no use. Artificial pasture long remained a rarity, and few farmers stored feed for the winter. In Virginia, a French traveler of the late 17th century saw poor beasts of a morning all covered with snow and trembling with the cold, but no forage was provided for them. They eat the bark of the trees because the grass was covered. Wild animals, wolves, bears, and savage dogs attacked the helpless cattle and made the raising of sheep difficult. Germans were better able than Southerners,
Like coyotes and foxes?
to milk their cows regularly and prepare dairy products, while cows owned by Southerners were more likely to run dry after calves were weaned. A contemporary observer said that even Southern farmers with many cows will not give themselves the trouble of milking more than will maintain their family.
Right.
As late as the 1930s, a scholar studying the geography and economy of the South wrote, "The close attention to duty, the habits of steady, skillful routine accepted by butterfat producers of Wisconsin as a matter of fact, are traits not yet present in Southern culture." At that point, the Southern states, with 26% of the country's dairy cows, produced just 7% of processed dairy products such as butter, cheese, ice cream, and condensed milk. There was a similar contrast between German farmers and Southern farmers when it came to clearing land for farming back in pioneering days.
This shit is wild,
Germans
bro.
cleared frontier land by both
I'm
chopping
still
down
stuck on that. I'm still stuck on what we were just talking about earlier.
trees and laboriously removing their stumps and roots so that all the land could be plowed thereafter. Southerners more
Y'all gonna
often
have me
cut down
watching
the
him
tree
off stream from
or
now
even
on.
simply girdled it and
I
left
got
it to
somebody
die
new
and
to
rot.
watch. I used to be in love with Dr. Umar Johnson, bro. Like just educational videos like this, American history, true history, like around the world, all of that, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like Roman history, all of that, bro. I just love watching shit, knowing shit.
But in any
Knowledge is
case,
power,
leaving
bro.
the stump in the ground and plowing around it. Although the erosion-prone soils of the southern uplands have been blamed for the poverty of the whites living on them, nevertheless, on that same land, Germans were able to cultivate the hill soil so as to avoid erosion and were willing to expend upon it the additional labor which its topography required, so that these soils in their hands yielded excellent regular returns. Comments on the lack of enterprise by Southern whites were made by numerous observers in various parts of the South. In Alexis de Tocqueville's classic Democracy in America, he contrasted the attitudes toward work among Southern and Northern whites as being so great as to be visible to the casual observer sailing down the Ohio River and comparing the Ohio side with the Kentucky side. These were not just the prejudices of outsiders. No Southern man, South Carolina's famed Senator John C. Calhoun said, "Not even the poorest or the lowest will, under any circumstances, perform menial labor. He has too much pride for that." General Robert E. Lee likewise.
Are y'all listening to that? Listen to what he just said before I say what I was just finna say. Listen to that. Listen to that, bro. We was just talking about that. A world full of content creators and shit. Nobody wanna. I said listen to him before I say what I was
Casual
finna say.
observer sailing down the Ohio
Listen to
River
that.
and comparing the Ohio side with the Kentucky side. These were not just the prejudices of outsiders. No
Hold on,
Southern man.
Oh no, that was it. That was it. I thought I went back to
South Carolina's famed Senator John C. Calhoun said, "Not even the poorest or the lowest will, under any circumstances, perform menial labor."
Now what that sound like? The hoods. That sound like today for sure, but the hood. Go to the hood. Motherfuckers would rather live off Section 8 food stamps, WIC, government assistance before they go and work a bottom of the barrel job. Before they go and be a janitor. Before they go and work at McDonald's. And all you doing is handing out shit at the window. Look at today. Girls look at niggas funny that work a 9 to 5. Okay, he could have a side hustle. He could have a business started. But if that ain't his main income or his main job, nigga, they frowning upon you because you would rather work a job. You working a job to stay afloat. And vice versa. Niggas feel some type of way about working a job today. I got 2 of them. Always had 2 jobs, bro. Since I've been able to work, I always had 2 jobs. Even when I was in high school, I worked at, my first job was Dairy Queen. And during the fall, on my days off, during the weekend, if I wasn't at work, nigga, I got a rake and I'm raking leads for $20 a yard. Targeting nothing but women and old people. Because most niggas would do it themselves. Don't let it be snow. Oh, I'm making bank, nigga. 35 a house, 20 for the driveway, 10 for the sidewalk, 5 for the porch and walkway. That way the mailman don't bust his ass. $35 a house. Women and old people. I always hustled like that, but I always had a job too, bro. You living in days where, listen what he just said. Even the lowest of the lowest, the poorest of the poorest will not work. Listen to that, bro. We are living in these times,
Just
nigga.
the prejudices of outsiders. No Southern man, South Carolina's famed Senator John C. Calhoun said, not even the poorest or the lowest will, under any circumstances, perform menial labor.
That nigga 3 months behind on rent. Baby mama cheating on him because he ain't doing nothing. She falling for the dope dealer. But she don't really want him. She just like that he help out. She's still in love with this no good ass nigga. She don't want to go get a job either. She'd rather keep taking her government assistance, Social Security, food stamps, EBT, WIC, everything I named to you. Bro, this shit is not a game. This shit is not a game.
He has too much pride for that.
He has too much pride for that. Yes, they do. Yes, we do today. Niggas just look at you crazy because you put in all these hours at a job.
General Robert E. Lee likewise declared, our people are opposed to work. Our troops, officers, community, and press all ridicule and resist it. Many whites, according to a leading Southern historian, were disposed to leave good enough alone and put off changes till the morrow. Very similar kinds of comments were made about...
In other words, taking it day by day, one day at a time. We're going to take it off. We're going to put it off till tomorrow. One day at a time. We're going to take it day by day.
These Southerners' ancestors in the parts of the British Isles from which they came. Although the term lazy appears frequently...
Well, maybe they weren't so dumb. They was playing. Man, you a good man. Shit's wild. I appreciate that. Yeah, this shit is wild. I appreciate that, Lane. Who you talking about? What you mean they weren't so dumb they was playing? Oh, yeah. Hopefully he was playing. Under no circumstances. So I guess we got to ask the British where this mentality came from, because all these dudes came from England. Gang. Somebody got the answers to this.
On these
Somebody
people
put
on both
this
sides
in
of the
here.
Atlantic. There has been no evidence of any such aversion on their part to strenuous physical activity in dancing, fighting, hunting, and other recreational activities, so sloth was not the real issue. Nor have rednecks or crackers been prominent in such less physically demanding activities as entrepreneurship or scholarship. It is the nature of the particular activities in which they have taken an active interest and on which they have expended their energies, rather than the physical demands of those activities, that seems to have been crucial. Not only did many of the groups who settled in the South disdain business as a career, as their ancestors had in those parts of Britain from which they came, they typically lacked the kinds of habits necessary to be successful in business. Among the habits needed to run a business, none is more basic than a steady application to the tasks at hand, doing things in a business-like way. But those relatively few Southerners who did run businesses often displayed no such business-like attitudes. Even when there was business to transact, Southerners would often stop to go watch a cockfight or a parade, or visit a saloon or go hunting. In traveling in the South, a Northern visitor commented...
Bro, that is so crazy. I was just telling my mama today, bro. I was supposed to go to a specific boxing gym, bro, and this motherfucker was ghost. Wouldn't even respond to none of that. So I went to one that I've always been going to that I knew. I just wanted to try one different. The girls are like that. They do hair in the South. The beautician, the hairstylist. They are like that. Unprofessional as hell. Don't respond. Don't text to the next. Don't text to the next day. You show up 10 minutes late to your appointment. They try to charge you half on top of what the actual total is. So if my shit $80, they trying to charge you $120, 80 plus 40 because you was 10 minutes late. But they cancel on you the same fucking day of your appointment. Like, gee, he's not lying. The South ain't never been good at running businesses. They ain't never been professional type. No, nigga, I work it. I'm in Dallas. The managers don't do shit. They not managers. These niggas take 50 smoke breaks a damn shift. They don't do nothing.
1850s, you become astonished at the little attention men pay to their
They be
business.
outside smoking more cigarettes than they
Such
being
views
managers.
were not confined to Northerners, however, nor to urban businesses. According to a noted history of the antebellum South, the Richmond Enquirer attributed the success of Northern farmers where Southerners had failed to the social nature of the latter, which led them to gather round the courthouse and country stores to smoke, chew, talk politics, and, in general, to waste time. Many Southern businessmen were unreliable about either paying their bills or delivering goods and services when promised. Among Southerners in general, their improvident spending and the indebtedness to which it often led was widely commented on in the United States and in the places from which their ancestors came in Britain. Even large Southern plantation owners with lavish lifestyles were often deeply in debt. Among the Virginia gentry, extravagant and even ruinous bets on horses were common, according to a scholarly study. Nor were Southerners alert to profitable investment prospects, according to observers in the antebellum South. For example, although there were large coal deposits and a beautiful quality of marble near Tuscaloosa, Alabama, the people there bought coal from Philadelphia, and marble for tombstones was imported from Italy. In antebellum Virginia as well, Olmsted observed the natural resources of the land were strangely unused or were used with poor economy. Nor was he alone in that conclusion.
So is that the reason why? What was that place called in Tulsa? Where they destroyed Little Black Town or whatever because them niggas was only investing in each other in the city, in that area? Because he just said the very two things that they was buying from Philly and Italy at Tuscan, Alabama was known for having both of them. And they didn't buy from their own people. They didn't buy from their own damn city. They bought on another side of the country and another side of the world instead of going up the damn street.
A 20th century scholar also commented on the coal available in Alabama.
Same shit black people do. Same shit black people do, nigga. Let you have a black dude out there selling clothes. Ain't nobody buying that shit. Even if it ain't gotta be name brand or whatever. It can be his clothes he make. Nobody buying it. They'll take the same $200 and go and get one Gucci t-shirt when you out here selling clothes you make with your logo for $5. Niggas can get a whole closet full of your clothes. They're not doing it. They not doing it.
The Alabama Iron District is one of the cheapest, if not the cheapest, iron district in the entire world.
This shit is
It possesses a phenomenal natural equipment. Jutting out of the hillsides that flank one side of the broad, open valley are thick deposits of iron ore. On the other side of the valley are the coal mines and coke ovens, and the limestone is at hand. Instead of carrying ore 1,000 miles, as at Pittsburgh and the English furnaces, or fuel 600 miles, as at Lake Champlain, the raw materials for these southern furnaces are...
Man, I don't either, bro. That shit's stupid. I look good at everything, bro. I ain't cared for designer since I was like a freshman in high school. Since I started actually having a job, making my own money, I was like, bro, I see why my parents had a problem buying me this shit. I see why they had a problem buying me all these video games 3 times a year. NCAA, Madden, 2K, Call of Duty. And my favorite, I never was a Red Dead Redemption, none of that. Mine was always the Assassin's Creed series. If it was any game that I'm not missing out on, I might skip a Madden, skip a 2K. Bro, I will fucking cry and cry and cry if I can't get Assassin's Creed. But that shit used to teach you something, bro. Learning about the Templars, all of that, bro. That shit used to teach history. I used to pass history, know certain stuff from playing Assassin's Creed. Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed Origins, Assassin's Creed the Third, all of that, bro.
Shifted across the valley.
Assassin's Creed was fire as hell.
By switching engines and the local supply of cheap black labor.
Assassin's Creed Black Flag, I shot that Goodwill. Nigga, what? I be busting the thrift store ass. And niggas be, that shit fire. Where you get that from? Thrift store? Oh yeah, that shit fire. Deep down, they shit better you than me. I can't buy shit from there. It's fire. You see, it's good. It is cheap. But you got too much pride to be ever caught or be ever known or tell somebody you got it from a thrift store. It got to be name brand. Okay, buddy. Go for it. I'm warm. I'm comfy. And your bitch love it. Every time I go out in my hoodies
and my teddy bear. Bro, I got hella hoodies like this. Every time I go out, I was just out in my white one. That's so comfortable. It looked comfortable. Where'd you get it from? And then I tell them, that's so comfortable. Oh my gosh. The girls don't give a fuck. They like, I'll go get it. It's the niggas that want that name brand. The girls don't give a damn.
Helps to give a wonderfully low cost. Yet it was more than 20 years after the Civil War before Birmingham became an iron and steel production center. As for the reasons for the belated development of such a promising combination of natural resources, in spite of the favors of geography, the iron and steel industry in the South was slow in its beginnings and development. Like everything Southern, the industry was retarded by lack of capital and technical skill.
The first one was wild compared to the games at the time. Dog, hell yeah. That's why I was so hooked on Assassin's Creed.
Capital was available from outside the South.
He said, that's funny. Bro, y'all think I'm capping. I can't find your Instagram. Oh, it's a zero. Zero, C-H-O, like the letter. D-I-A-Z, 810, Flint, Michigan. The first O is a zero. It's a zero. That's why I put, parentheses, 0 CHO-DIAZ _. It's the same picture as my Nemo ReActz. It's the same cover or whatever profile picture. That is same profile picture as Nemo ReActz.
Or indeed from outside the country, as foreign capital was used to finance the building of the Pennsylvania Railroad and the Illinois Central during the same era. But the other factors had to be there to create a promising prospect of profitability that would attract investment. The difficulties of developing those other factors in Alabama was shown by the fact that in 1888, Birmingham saw its first ton of steel run through the furnaces of the Henderson Steel Company and burn out the crude furnace linings in the process. Early explorers and settlers in the antebellum South
because the
wrote
kids
in glowing
always been willing to work more than the parents.
terms of the wild fruits, especially the wild grapes of unusual size, which excited extravagant hopes of the development of wine industries. Yet early attempts to find a market for Southern wine in Britain were ruined by the fact that a sample of wine that was sent across the Atlantic spoiled in the musty casks in which Southerners had carelessly shipped it. Later efforts to establish a wine industry in the South were undertaken by foreigners, French, German, and Portuguese. A German settlement in Missouri created a wine industry with an annual output of about 100,000 gallons. But the South as a whole produced less than 1/5 of the wine in the United States in 1849, and this was long before the development of the California wine industry. As late as the beginning of the 20th century, there were still laments about the opportunities in the South missed by Southerners and put to use by outsiders with different patterns of behavior. Landowners in Alabama were said to have cheated themselves out of millions of dollars by failing to see the opportunities within their grasp, which lumbermen from the North and East seized by cutting trees and shipping the lumber around the world. Some Southerners along the Gulf Coast likewise spoke of the golden opportunities which they failed to grasp, of the numerous successes of Northern and Eastern men, and lamented the passing of the old school of gentlemen, the midday mint juleps, and the easygoing business methods. Some of these Southerners, however, seemed to prosper working shoulder to shoulder with the Yankees. Not only in the South, but in the communities from which white Southerners had come in the Scottish Highlands, in Ulster and in Wales of an earlier era, most of the successful businessmen were outsiders. Even the poorest Highland Scots would not skin their horses when they died. Instead, Scots sold their dead horses for 3 pence to English soldiers, who in turn got 6 pence for the skinned carcass and another 2 shillings for the hide. This was not due to a lack of knowledge of skinning. In earlier times, when Scotland and England were at war, one of the atrocities committed by the Scots was skinning captured English officers alive. During the 16th century border feuds, the Johnston-Johnson clan adorned their houses with the flayed skins of their enemies, the Maxwells. It was not the skill that was lacking, but the enterprise. Contemporary observers commented on another peculiarity of antebellum Southerners: fording rivers and streams instead of building bridges over them. Nor was this due simply to
I'm ready for him to get to the part with Rick Ross, nigga. Why did you have Rick Ross as the cover? Was that Biggie? Oh my goodness. Okay, we getting there. Black Heritage. Okay, we getting there.
Who the fuck was that? Was that Tupac? Who is this supposed to be? Lil Wayne? That look like Lil Chains. That ain't Lil Wayne. Boys in the Hood? Oh, it's finna get good. Man, put me in a track. It's finna get good.
Poverty. A biography of famed 19th century Congressman John Randolph of Virginia referred to the bridgeless streams in the area where elite families like his lived. Thomas Jefferson noted that he had to cross 8 rivers between Monticello and Washington, 5 of which had neither bridges nor boats. This peculiarity was noted in other parts of the South and by observers in those parts of Britain from which Southerners came. Commenting on just how lazy Southerners were, one man noted that no Northern farmer would neglect to build a bridge over a stream that crossed his property. Indeed, 2 live Yankees would complete the work in a single day. But the Southern planter will ford the creek lying between his house and stable a whole lifetime. The same complaint was made about Highland Scots, whose roads were equally bad as those of Ireland and the Old South. In the 1790s, a minister, noting that fords, rather than bridges, cross streams on one of the most heavily traveled roads in the Highlands, wrote,
I got you.
From a desire to save labor or time, the ford is often attempted when the river is too high, and the consequence is frequently fatal. Again, it is necessary to emphasize that the culture which Southerners brought over from the parts of Britain from which they came changed in Britain in the years after they left. But all this happened after the ancestors of rednecks and crackers had immigrated to the American South from the outer regions of British society, rather than from central England.
Shit itching.
Given the historical background of crackers and rednecks in Britain, it could hardly be expected that intellectual activity would be a major interest of theirs in the United States. A study of 18,000 county records from 17th century colonial Virginia showed that nearly half of all the white male Virginians were so illiterate that they could not sign their names and simply made a mark on legal documents.
Damn.
While the small Virginia aristocracy were often well educated and had impressive collections of books in their homes, these books were typically imported from England rather than purchased from local bookstores.
So you got the books and don't read. Have you heard the first Blue Jean album? Which one is that? Who is that? Church?
Thomas Jefferson.
If you talking about Church, nah. That was the first album I ever heard by Church.
The area where he lived was without a single bookstore. As late as the census of 1850, more than 1/5 of Southern whites were still illiterate, compared to less than 1% of New Englanders. In the Southern backcountry, levels of schooling were lower here than any other part of the United States, according to a landmark historical study. And there were no institutions comparable to New England's town schools. Although the white population of the South was only 1/2 as large as that of the North, the total number of illiterate whites in the South in 1850 was larger than the total number of illiterates in the North. In the antebellum era, the total circulation of Northern newspapers was more than 4 times the total circulation of Southern newspapers. Moreover, many editors of Southern newspapers were themselves from the North. The North had 4 times as many schools, attended by more than 4 times as many pupils. Children in Massachusetts spent more than twice as many years in school as children in Virginia. When it came to inventions, only 8% of the patents issued in 1852 went to residents of the southern states, whose white population was approximately 1/3 of the white population of the country. Even in agriculture, the main economic activity of the region, only 9 out of 62 patents for agricultural implements went to Southerners. The cotton gin, perhaps the most crucial invention for the antebellum South, was invented by a Northerner. A Southerner said to Frederick Law Olmsted,
"Kids are illiterate again." Yeah, back illiterate. Bro, do you know the greatest book, the best book that all kids, it was at one point in history where everybody first time reading was the Bible, and you surprised that the country is illiterate and the country and the world is heading the way it's heading? Nobody reads their book, and the Bible ain't the first thing kids read nowadays. First thing they read is the fucking password to a tablet, or Paw Patrol or some shit.
The fact is, sir, the people here are not like you northern people. They don't reason out everything, so. Olmsted himself likewise concluded from his travels in the antebellum South that Southerners were greatly disinclined to exact and careful reasoning. As late as the First World War,
That's true. These niggas ain't got boundaries. Down here in Texas, boy, they be standing all up your ass or ride your ass in cars. They sit here and be entitled. Motherfuckers, you can call yourself trying to be nice and hold the door. They not saying thank you. You know what I'm saying? Somebody can be holding the door for you, and you call yourself, oh, go ahead. You like, nah, go ahead, I got you. Bro, a third motherfucker will just come and walk between both of y'all and go through. You'd be like, you be have to really catch yourself like, bro. Alright. I'm telling you, he's not lying. The South don't be doing all they know. It's because, bro, they gun laws. They feel that they can't get touched. See, but I'll tell everybody, you fucked up letting people move from states where guns ain't legal and they have to professionally hide guns for a living as they still gangbang or they living in the hood. To come down here and you can have a gun in plain sight. That's way worse. But like I always said, them motherfuckers in the South will get showed something as soon as they play. They get showed something. Just because you can have your pipe out don't mean you can't get touched. I found some terrible stories in it the other day. And what? In the Bible? The kids just entering the work. Yeah, they ain't even reading, they just entering the work. Just like back then. They wasn't in school. Child labor laws. Their asses was working.
white soldiers from Georgia, Arkansas, Kentucky, and Mississippi.
Yeah, thinking they the customer. Like, bro, all of that customer's right type shit. I'm telling you, the South got a sense of entitlement like no other. It ain't even pride. No, they got a sense of entitlement. Like, it's my way or the highway, and it's gonna go my way. And if it's not, I'm gonna tell, and it's gonna get my way. And the dudes, they act like they just be so on that. Be like, bro, so if you on that, then do something, nigga. Nobody gotta tell you. You ain't gotta get no warning. Do that.
Scored lower on mental tests than black soldiers from Ohio, Illinois, New York, and Pennsylvania. At higher levels of achievement, the contrast between the South and other regions was even more stark. A study of leading American figures in the arts and sciences in the first half of the 19th century found most clustered in the Northeast, while vast regions of the South, Virginia alone excepted, were without a single one. The kinds of statistical disparities found between Southern whites and Northern whites in the past are today often taken as evidence or proof of racial discrimination when such disparities are found between the black and white populations of the country as a whole, while others have taken such disparities as signs of genetic deficiencies. Yet clearly, neither racial discrimination nor racial inferiority can explain similar differences between whites in the North and the South in earlier centuries. This should at least raise questions about such explanations when applied.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe you, gang. Trust me, I believe. I believe you.
To blacks of a later era who inherited the culture of white Southerners.
I brought in one of our first...
Hey, everyone. Our research department tells me that this is the best performing mid-ad ever.
Southern whites were as different from Northern...
What I miss? What was the name?
South in earlier centuries. This should at least raise questions about such explanations when applied to blacks of a later era who inherited the culture of white Southerners.
They inherited the culture, religious life, and sexual behavior of white Southerners.
Southern whites were as different from Northern whites when it came to sexual patterns as they were in other ways. Widespread casual sex was commented on by outside observers in both the American South and in those parts of Britain from which Southerners had come. Here again, the greatest contrast is with New England. While pregnant brides were very rare in 17th century New England, they were more common in the southern backcountry than anywhere else in the United States.
He was just saying that. You think he's like, you think the South got an entitlement problem? Go to New England. He was just talking about something like that.
A missionary estimated that more than 9/10 of the backcountry women at whose weddings he officiated were already pregnant. In this, as in other respects, the sexual customs of the southern backcountry were similar to those of northwestern England. Meanwhile, the region of England from which New Englanders came had the lowest rates of illegitimacy in England, just as their descendants had the lowest rates of illegitimacy in the United States. Women dressed more revealingly in the South, and both sexes spoke more freely about sex than was common in New England.
That's true. That is true. Since I've been down, I ain't gonna lie. That's why I'll be like, boy, these Texas girls is wild. I done been to Tennessee, bro. That's true. The girls is more wild down here, boy. They more out there. They start experiencing sex at a way younger age than the girls up north. Way younger age. I'm talking about that shit is wild. It's crazy. Don't get me wrong. You have your girls that be doing that, but it's like almost every girl you encounter down here that had their first sexual experience in middle school, 6th, 7th grade. Some of them earlier than that. It's wild down here, bro. The South is different. The South is different.
In the 17th century, most Virginia girls found a husband by the age of 17.
I can't make this up. I can't make this up. Find a husband by the age of 17 because she been fucking since 8, 9, 5th, 6th grade. I'm telling you. I wouldn't have thought that about the South Bank then. I'm telling you, bro. The girls is wild here.
While in Massachusetts, the average age at which women married was 23. In that era, fornication and rape were acts severely punished in New England. Rape was a hanging offense in New England, while in the Chesapeake Bay colonies, it was sometimes punished less severely than petty theft. As with other North-South differences,
because they would look at it as even though it's rape, it's still just sex, it's intercourse.
Sexual behavior have often been attributed to.
My grandmother got married at 13. You hear that shit in the South. That is real. You hear stories like that in the South. Girls be experienced young. Start racking up and using their youth young. Start using their worth young. They start racking them numbers up young, bro. By the time they get to freshman year, sophomore year, high school, nigga, they already approaching their age. Double, if they not already in double digits. They already approaching 9, 10 partners. And they don't see nothing wrong with it. They're like, shit, it's casual, it's sex, we human. That's what humans do. I promise you, bro, I ain't never heard that way of thinking until I came down here. They look at it like, no, nigga, it's like breathing. We just fuck. Dude, these girls is wild down here.
The existence of slavery in the South,
especially
due in this case to the opportunities which this presented for sexual exploitation of slave women.
They wild.
But again, history shows the same patterns among the same people and their ancestors in Britain.
Motherfuckers look at me crazy when I tell them, bro, I lost my virginity at 19. And then as we get to Target every time and all that, they be, you from where? Flint, Michigan? Oh, bro, it's so much that makes sense now. Nah, bro, just in general, how you walk, how you talk, how you carry yourself. You always off to yourself, bro, just in general. I ain't worried about no hoes, nigga. Where the money at, bro? Who hiring? Like, all of that, bro. I'm telling you, I can't make this up. That's because that's not our culture. Pussy ain't everything up north. Sex ain't that serious. Dick ain't that serious back at home, bro. We taught get your bread, have something to get. Nigga, that pussy gonna always be there. Regardless if you a homeless man, you a broke man, or you rich, it's gonna be some girls that let you hit on all levels. If you don't believe me, when you was in high school staying with your parents and your parents was paying for your clothes, didn't you get some coochie? And then when you got to college and you was semi taking care of yourself and then your parents would send you something when it was a little rough, when you still hitting college bitches? Yeah. Now you grown and you take care of yourself. Don't you hear grown bitches that got careers or that don't got a job or got kids already? And you got kid too, baby mamas? It's something for everybody. You a rich nigga, don't you hit all the high class bitches? Pussy gonna come and go. Everywhere, every level you step or decrease to, the pussy's gonna be there. We wasn't taught that, bro. We was taught, get your bag, get your shit in order, get your shit straight, and the pussy gonna come. You want to be able to pick which ones you want. You don't want to just be able to take whatever you can get. Get all that. Get the first three things right. Get the first three things right so you can pick which coochie you want. Down here, it's like, nah, nigga. Dick is dick, coochie is coochie. I just want to fuck. I need a nut. Oh, Lord. The South is different.
Before they had ever seen a black woman. In colonial Virginia as well, the sexual exploitation of white indentured servant girls.
She claimed not to know what was causing the baby until she was 16. I don't even know what you mean by that. Like, she's saying she was fucking, but didn't know what fucking was. She was letting the nigga shoot in her, but didn't know how she was pregnant. But before she started having sex, she was never getting pregnant. I'm confused. What was she saying? I'm confused. Cause something changed, mama. Something changed, grandma.
Was common before the slave population had grown large enough for white servant girls to be replaced by black women. Religious denominations, practices, and churches differed as between the crackers and rednecks of the South and those of the white population in the rest of the country. As in other things, the greatest contrast was with the role of religion in New England. This did not mean that there was uniformity across the South. For the
if they like it, I love it. It made sense to them in their time. That's why they did it. That's why we ain't experiencing it, because it don't make sense to us.
Virginia elite tended to be Anglicans, and there were also Quakers in the South, for example. But most Southerners were either Baptists or Methodists. Those Northerners or foreigners who visited the South found the style and manner of religion among most white Southerners distinct and distasteful.
Yeah.
These visitors viewed with contempt people who whooped and hollered, chewed and spit tobacco in church. Many Southern religious gatherings were not held in churches, but at outdoor camp meetings, a style that went back to practices of these Southerners' ancestors in Britain. So too did the oratorical style of Southern preachers and the behavior of their congregations, whether in churches or outdoors. Frederick Law Olmsted's description of a typical preacher in the antebellum South noted that the speaker nearly all the time cried aloud at the utmost stretch of his voice, as if calling to someone a long distance off, that he was gifted with a strong imagination and possessed of a good deal of dramatic power, that he had the habit of frequently repeating a phrase, and that he exhibited a dramatic talent that included leaning far over the desk with his arms stretched forward, gesticulating violently, yelling at the highest key, and catching his breath with an effort. Similar scenes were described.
That sound like black preachers. Cause it is God. God, he was a mighty Jesus. A mighty Jesus. Look at the Lord. I said the Lord. Like, nigga. Breathe. Relax. The Lord, he has saved me. He has saved me. Like, damn, gang.
Arrived a century earlier in Virginia, and at a camp meeting in Scotland, where the preacher was sweating, bawling, jumping, and beating the desk. This melodramatic and emotional oratory.
Look, jumping, beating the desk. Like, sit your ass down.
Oracle style could still be seen in 20th century America, not only in religious services, but also in politics, both among white Southern politicians of the Jim Crow era and among black leaders of the Civil Rights Movement.
Is that Al Sharpton? Who is this supposed to be?
The South and community activists in the northern ghettos. By contrast, religious services in colonial Massachusetts developed what has been called the meeting and lecture approach, where the style of preaching was a relentless cultivation of the plain style. These addresses tended to be closely argued statements of great density, in which Puritans reasoned as relentlessly with their Maker as they did with one another. This intellectual approach to religion carried over into their daily lives. Even more than most people in their time, they searched constantly for clues to God's purposes in the world. It was this impulse which led so many English Puritans to study nature with that extraordinary intensity which played a central part in the birth of modern science. There was a dark side to this intensity as well. The vast majority of...
Like, gee, I'm being so honest with you. I did not start seeing, like, I've seen it before. You see it every now and then, but it's not normal. People will look at it and be like, damn, they need to find a new hobby. Y'all fuck a lot. When you come down south, bro, I didn't seen that out of these whole years of me being in Texas. That's like breathing air, bro. You see a nigga pumping gas or in a restaurant, bro, they got the little boy, he about 2-3 years old. The newborn baby, the daughter, she and the damn baby in the stroller, like she just had the baby about 6 months ago. And her baby in her stomach looked like she about 4 months pregnant. Like, damn, nigga, so you mean to tell me the minute the doctor said, oh, you cleared, You went right back and impregnated her, nigga? Do you take a break? I'm talking about, bro, you see that a lot down here. 3 kids and they only 3 months apart each. I'd be like, damn. Y'all niggas need something else to do.
The persecutions and executions of women for witchcraft.
Son be 2 years old, 3 years old. A whole ass baby, a newborn baby in a stroller, if not on the mama's titty, crying with that newborn baby crying. And then you look at her and you like, oh, she ain't lost that baby. Wait. Nah, she ain't lose that baby weight. That's baby weight. She pregnant. She pregnant. As she over there, stomach out there like this. Like, damn. That's, bro, I ain't never seen shit like that at the rate until we came down here, bro. Until I went to Tennessee. We done went to Florida, you see it. I got family in Mississippi. Bro, that shit is heavy in the South. They not hesitating. That is the prime example of, oh, I don't want my kids too far apart. That saying came from the South. That came from the South.
Quakers did not have the persecuting intolerance of the Puritans.
They took that shit and ran with it. Oh, we're breeders? Okay.
But they too had plain-spoken religious meetings, also in contrast to melodramatic services among the rednecks and crackers of the South.
Pushing them boys out.
The Anglican services were likewise less emotional and dramatic, but Anglicanism in the South was largely confined to the Tidewater region. Catholics too had a quieter service, though more formal than the Quakers, but there was little Catholicism in the South, where even Irish immigrants tended to become absorbed into the Protestant religions, just as the Scots tended to become absorbed into Southern fundamentalist religions.
What the fuck is he
The South was a region lacking the prerequisites for maintaining an educated clergy, as required by both Presbyterians and Catholics. Anyone familiar with religious practices among Black Americans today will recognize the clear imprint of the white Southern pattern. It was not just the Southern preachers who behaved differently from their counterparts in other parts of the country. So did the congregations. While many of those listening to hellfire and damnation sermons were moved to extreme emotional reactions of fear, confession, and repentance, many others took these sermons as dramatic performances or spectacles, and the young women and men often treated these religious gatherings as occasions for socializing and preludes to romantic encounters later.
This pattern too went back to Earth. They there to see the baddest bitches in the town. All the baddest bitches meet up with the handsomest niggas at church, and they go home and do the do. Church in the South ain't church up north.
Earlier centuries in Scotland, where...
Well, then the Southern culture will take over because everyone up here is afraid to have one kid, yet alone multiple. Hell yeah. It might. I ain't gonna lie to you. They shit might even decrease because nobody want kids today, bro. Even the girls down here, you hear it's more of a, you know what I'm saying? Now that I get older, you see it, the girls my age and stuff, bro, they ain't talking about having kids. They pushing that shit back. Damn,
while some at the camp meetings were groaning, sighing, and weeping for their sins, there was usually also a knot of young fellows and girls making assignations to go home together in the evening or to meet in some
I have 2 kids under 2 and people think I'm crazy. That ain't bad though. Would it be crazy if you got 2 kids under 2 and your girl pregnant, like 2-3 months pregnant? Then I'd be like, damn, gang, can she get a break? Can you stop breaking her and get her a break? I'll look at you and be like, bro, you don't go to work? You don't play football? You don't do nothing outside of work? All you do is go to work and come home and work her out? Bad.
House. While the keeping of the Sabbath is a day free of worldly activities.
That ain't bad. I had 2 kids under 2 people. That ain't bad, bro.
And amusements was a common practice in many parts of the United States in centuries past. That was not the practice among the rednecks and crackers of the antebellum South.
The doctor said you gotta
Southerners
chill. Yeah.
had fun on Sundays, to the consternation of Northern observers. One of the strangest sights to a New England man on visiting Southern states is the desecration of the Sabbath.
9 months apart to the day. They are exactly 9 months apart. Boy.
Jeez. Yankee. In some of the cities, especially if a good number of the businessmen are
See,
from
but
the
no lie, I
north,
want a lot of
the
kids. I
churches
want
are
at least like
tolerably
10.
well
That's why I
attended.
need all them acres. I be talking about in them up church reactions. I need a lot of land. I need a big house, something like what's in these pictures. I need this, and this to all be my shit on land. I need that. I need this to be the main house, this to be my little man cave, and this to be the house where all the babies and the kids is at. The kids got their own little crib. Like some little rascals type stuff, like a clubhouse. You go in there and all my kids is in one little house. And they ain't playing, Oldest one got that bitch under his pillow. Stop playing. And they got a dog on the porch and a dog inside, just in case. We ain't playing them games.
There being but one sermon for the day. But even here, the afternoon and evening are much devoted to amusements. Another northerner declared that in the South, there is no Sabbath. They work, run, swear, and drink here on Sundays just as they do on any other day of the week. Many Southerners did not go to church at all, or did so intermittently, or when not distracted by other activities. Again, this was a pattern found among their ancestors in Britain. Among the reasons given by contemporaries for low church attendance among Southerners was that they often got drunk on Saturday night and were in no condition to go to church on Sunday morning.
I wasn't avoiding therapy, but I just didn't think it was...
I can't believe you could order a house from a mail order catalog. Back then?
For me. The idea of therapy I grew up with...
I ain't know that. Back then you could? That's wild. That's wild. The black heritage, here we go.
Much of the cultural pattern of Southern rednecks became the cultural heritage of Southern blacks, more so than survivals of Africa.
Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna let it play, but I gotta go. Hold on. I gotta use the bathroom. Y'all might not have been in here earlier, but bro was in here. I ain't got no clothes. I took a shower and shit. I ain't got no clothes on, so hold on.
Cultures with which they had not been in contact for centuries. Even in colonial times, most blacks on American soil had been born on American soil. Moreover, such cultural traits followed blacks out of the southern countrysides and into the urban ghettos, north and south, where many settled. The very way of talking, later to be christened Black English, closely followed dialects brought over from those parts of Britain from which many white Southerners came, though these speech patterns died out in Britain while surviving in the American South, as such speech patterns would later die out among most Southern whites and among middle-class blacks, while surviving in the poorer black ghettos around the country. For example, where a northerner said, I am, you are, she isn't, it doesn't, and I haven't, a Virginian, even of high rank, preferred to say, I be, you be, she ain't, it don't, and I ain't. These Virginia speechways were not invented in America. They derived from a family or regional dialects that had been spoken throughout the South and West of England during the 17th century. From these same regions of England came such words as yaller for yellow, axe for ask, acrost for across, y'all for you, bile for boil, dough for door, dis for this, and that for that. Many of these...
That's, I ain't exactly hear it, y'all, but that sounds like quid pro quo. That stuff that, or if I'm saying it right, that they teach you in orientation. This for that, this for that, and this for that. You'll get this raise if you go on a date with me. My God, I can't believe you could order out. Yup, I think it was an OG Sears catalog. That's crazy. I ain't know that. And I just got mad, bro. I'm sitting here. I just know I ain't had to use the bathroom. That cookie just had my stomach going. The minute I stood up, I'm like, oh no, I ain't had to use the bathroom. I'm like, nope, it was the other one. I ain't had to use it.
Usages.
That cookie, I just know I can't mess with them cookies. Too much frosting. I'm good. That's why I don't like sweets. The most cheap stuff I stick to is chips. Other than that, I don't do candy, cookies, cake. I barely eat ice cream anymore.
Have long since died out in England.
But hold on, what I missed? It looked like that nigga had Grand Theft Auto up here. Yeah.
Sunday morning.
What are you talking about?
Much of the cultural pattern of Southern rednecks became the cultural heritage of Southern blacks, more so than survivals of African cultures with which they had not been in contact for centuries. Even in colonial times, most blacks on American soil had been born on American soil. Moreover, such cultural traits followed blacks out of the southern countrysides and into the urban ghettos, north and south, where many settled. The very way of talking, later to be christened Black English, closely followed dialects brought over from those parts of Britain from which many white Southerners came, though these speech patterns died out in Britain while surviving in the American South, as such speech patterns would later die out among most Southern whites and among middle-class blacks, while surviving in the poorer black ghettos around the country. For example, where a Northerner said, "I am," "you are," "she isn't," it
I am. You are, y'all. Like how I say "ka," everybody be like "car." Nigga, I say "ka." That's where I'm from. Man, get your ass in the car.
doesn't, and I haven't. A Virginian, even of high rank, preferred to say, "I be," "you be," "she ain't," "it don't," and "I ain't." These Virginia speechways were not invented in America. They derived from a family or regional dialects that had been spoken throughout the South and West of England during the 17th century. From these same regions of England came such words as yaller for yellow, axe for ask, across for across.
Axe, Axe me. I didn't heard that before. I heard that before. Motherfucker call me proper because I'd be like, ask. They'd be like, axe? No, nigga, not ACTS. I'm not acting out nothing. I'm telling you to ask me. Maybe nah, bro. You too proper. Where you from? Oh, that's why. Your accent different. My accent? Fuck you talking about? The fuck?
Y'all for you.
See?
Bile for boil. Dough for door. This for this, and that.
Yeah, see? We say dough. Open the door. Somebody at the door. The doorbell ringing. The doorbell ringing. Get the dough.
For that. Many of these usages have long since died out in England, though the word chitlins for hog entrails continued to be used in some localities in England, even in the 20th century, as such usage remained common among black Americans. But no such words came from Africa, nor did the holiday Kwanzaa, which originated in Los Angeles. The slaves' custom of marking their marriages by jumping over...
I did not know that. Kwanzaa is deep down, really, truthfully, not an African holiday? I don't give a fuck. I don't celebrate. Now, that's why when everybody's telling me happy Valentine's Day, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I ain't say nothing. I don't celebrate shit. Besides my birthday, Christmas, Halloween, Thanksgiving, New Year's. It's too many to keep up with, bro. I've been stopped celebrating rituals. I'm good. Too many of them. Then you got the 4th of July. Next month, in September, you got Labor Day. Cool. Then you got Halloween. Then you got Thanksgiving. Then you got Christmas. Christmas Eve, Kwanzaa. Then you got New Year's. Hold on, I missed a few. Black Friday in November. You know what I'm saying? Then you got New Year's. I'm good. Then you got Valentine's Day. Then St. Patrick's Day. Then April Fool's. Then Easter. Then Labor Day or Memorial Day, whichever one is in May. Then in June, you got Juneteenth. I'm like, man, god damn, bro. Sound like that's just the way that the government collect taxes by telling your ass it's a holiday. Go out and spend money. Then July, you got the 4th of July. It's like, bro, it's too many to keep up with, bro. President's Day. Like, come on, gang. It's too many. It's too many. It's too many. I just keep celebrating my birthday and that's it. And any girl that really love Valentine's Day, I let them know I don't celebrate it. I don't. If it matters to you that much, shorty, don't even think about starting anything serious because you're not changing me. I don't do Christmas. I don't do Halloween. Don't do Thanksgiving. I don't do none of that shit. Besides birthdays. That's it.
For a broomstick, a custom resurrected at a posh wedding among blacks in 20th century New York as a mark of racial identity, was in fact a pagan custom in Europe in centuries past and survived for a time among Southern whites. Complaints about the improvidence of whites in the South and of their ancestors in Britain before that.
This nigga mustache look like straw. Damn, brother, he need a trim.
Were echoed in W.E.B. Du Bois's picture of his fellow blacks in the 1890s. Probably few poor nations waste more money by thoughtless and unreasonable expenditure than the American Negro, and especially those living in large cities. Thousands of dollars are annually wasted in amusements of various kinds and in miscellaneous ornaments and gewgaws.
I just said that. Holidays and designer.
There's much to learn of the Jew and the Italian as to living within his means and saving every penny from excessive and wasteful expenditures. It was not, however, from Jews or Italians that blacks had absorbed their culture. Du Bois's description of the spending habits of blacks in the 1890s was echoed by a contemporary observer, Jacob Riis, who said that the Negro loves fine clothes and good living a good deal more than he does a bank account.
And that's facts. I just told y'all. So good living. Niggas think they living good because they celebrate Thanksgiving or Christmas. You go out and spend money that you don't have. You go out and celebrate a country that you're not free and independent in. Fuck the 4th of July. Don't get it. You go out and celebrate Valentine's Day I always felt like that, bro. How your bitch get treated one special day out of the day other than her birthday? I forgot. You still got Mother's Day, Father's Day. You see what I'm saying? It's too many to keep up with, bro. If you keep up, you damn near celebrating 2 holidays a month. I'm alright, nigga. I'm good.
Similar observations have been made by many others over the years, inside and outside the black community.
I just want my kids to have a life.
For the lower socioeconomic classes among blacks, Gunnar Myrdal's descriptions of them near the middle of the 20th century still bore a remarkable resemblance to descriptions of Southern whites and their regional forebears in Britain, including less resourcefulness, disorganized family life, lax sexual morals, and recklessness, with tendencies toward aggression and violence.
No lie. That's the life. That man got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kids, just like I want. Maybe 12. I don't know if them is 2 older daughters or if he got 3 wives. Or a wife, a concubine, and a midwife. I don't know. But I'm going to go with he got a wife and 13 kids. 14 because a little boy. That's the life. That's the life. I had to take Ruby out to Pete. Max and Ruby. Ruby and Max.
Despite a generally sympathetic approach to the study of blacks in his landmark book, An American Dilemma,
and his little brother Max,
which has often been credited with a major influence on the advancement of civil rights, Myrdal also noted the low standards of efficiency, reliability, ambition, and morals actually displayed by the average Negro. He observed something of the devil-may-care attitude in the pleasure-seeking of Negroes, and a general
Shout out
attitude
to y'all for being here, bro.
In which life becomes cheap and crime not so reprehensible. Like other observers, Myrdal tended to attribute to slavery such aspects of black culture as the low regard for human life, when in fact, antebellum whites had exhibited this same reckless disregard of lethal dangers, and so had their ancestors in Britain. Unlike many others, however, Myrdal also recognized the influence of the Southern white culture on the culture of blacks.
Niggas didn't have chairs, they sitting on cement blocks.
Pointing out that the general Southern pattern of illegality maintained this low regard for human life. He also noted that the so-called Negro dialect is simply a variation on the ordinary Southern accent. That religious and...
You two what? You two what? Oh, that's your favorite show? Hell yeah.
Emotionalism was borrowed from and sanctioned by religious behavior among whites in the South, and that the Negro trait of audaciousness is characteristic of white Southerners too. He quoted black scholar and later statesman Ralph Bunche. White Southerners employ many of the defense mechanisms characteristic of the Negro. They often carry a chip on the shoulder. They indulge freely in self-commiseration. They rather typically, and in real Negro fashion, try to overcome a feeling of inferiority by exhibitionism, raucousness in
dress. Oh, thank you for hanging out. No, I appreciate y'all, bro.
And exaggerated self-assertion.
Hey parents, want to skyrocket your child's chances of college acceptance by 7 times?
We was just talking about that. Y'all not reading. Shut up.
Although Dr. Bunche presented these as parallels, historically it was of course the Southern whites who first had these patterns, reflecting patterns among their ancestors in Britain. In much of the literature on black culture, however, the supposed influence of slavery...
Look,
You got two kids, you got two teenagers right here kissing. Ain't nobody going to school, nigga.
Has been far more sweepingly assumed, and the cultural influence of white Southerners and their forebears in Britain.
I ain't gonna lie, his face just looked like if I walked past him. Where you from, boy? I would have to beat his ass. Or die. I ain't gonna lie. I'll adapt that Southern culture real quick. Well, who the fuck you calling boy, bitch? Man, that shit have come out so quick. That shit have slipped so quick. Not even slipped, because it ain't slipped. I lied. That shit have come out so quick. Boy, nigga, look between your legs. I guarantee you I hang further than you. I ain't no boy. That shit have hurt his feelings.
Largely ignored.
Be like, better yet, ask that girl that's hanging out half this window in front of you. She'll let you know who the boy is. All that'll piss him off. Niggas will be like, oh yeah, he's a dead man. All the black people standing around like, well, we're gonna have a lynching later on. Shit. Hey, that's what you gonna have to do. I'd be damn, I sit there and get hold and be quiet. You got me fucked up.
Word.
I'm taking one of you
Attempts
niggas
to
with
derive
me.
the black manner of speaking from slavery
I'm coming
and
straight
its
for him
parallel
because he
among
started
whites
it.
as an influence
Where you
from black
boy?
speech
Yeah, you
were
gonna die
answered
with
by
me.
a Southern historian who asked, "From whence came the drawl of the people of the upper Great Plains and of the Blue Ridge, Smoky, and Cumberland Mountains, who have had little or no contact with the Negro?"
Look, he just looked like a snitch. He just looked like a snitch. A snitch.
Another cultural
Uncle Ruckus right here. A snitch.
Historian of Southerners aptly observed that
A
Southerners,
snitch.
white and black, share the bonds of a common heritage, indeed a common tragedy, and often speak a common language, however seldom they may acknowledge it. Half a century after
That nigga's a
Myrdal,
snitch.
another study of racial attitudes noted the intimidating ethnic style of many underclass black males, and noted that nearly half of all murder victims in America were black, and that 94% of them were killed by other blacks.
Yeah.
Many of these killings were due to gang members who killed for such reasons as, "'cause you look at me funny."
Territories. Control. Fear. Shoot, a Rise rapper once said, Tupac, he once said, shoot, nigga, the biggest threat is my people. I don't carry a gun or do thug life because I got to. Nigga, the biggest killer is the biggest killer of the black man is the black man. Nigga, we our biggest killer. It ain't the KKK no more. It ain't the white folks. It's the niggas. I go outside with all these pipes watching out for niggas. I understand I live in Texas. You know what I'm saying? And you got racists here, girls that'll set you up, all of that. But I'm watching out for these dumb niggas that don't give a fuck now because they in a state where guns is legal and you can just pop out with them. And the cop ain't gonna interrogate him. It's Texas. If he don't look like a felon or he ain't doing nothing wrong, he ain't finna just think. But you go to Michigan and just wag your motherfucking Drake on your back or walk around with an ARP. They stopping your ass, whether you look like a felon or not. They stopping you.
"'Cause you give me no respect," and other reasons reminiscent of the touchy pride and hair-trigger
Because he give me no respect. Don't that sound like that Southern thing we was just watching?
violence of rednecks and crackers in an earlier era. The neglect and disdain of education found among antebellum white Southerners has been echoed not only in low performance levels among ghetto blacks, but perhaps most dramatically in a hostility toward those black students who are conscientious about their studies, who are accused of acting white, a charge that can bring anything from social ostracism to outright violence. So much attention has been paid to questions of ability that few have looked at cultural attitudes. One of those who has is
calling the niggas Uncle Toms and all of that. How he acting white because he care about his school?
Black professor and best-selling author Shelby Steele, who sees in
snitches get stitches. Man, better tell them.
Many of these children almost a determination not to learn, even though, once outside the school and in their own neighborhoods, these same children learn everything. He drew on his own experiences teaching at a university. For some years, I have noticed that I can walk into any of my classes on the first day of the semester, identify the black students, and be sadly confident that on the last day of the semester, a disproportionate number of them will be at the bottom of the class, far behind any number of white students of equal or even lesser ability. Statistical data substantiate these impressions. Black students typically perform academically below the level of those white students with the same mental test scores. in contrast to Asian American students, who perform better than white students with the same test scores as themselves. In short, even though black students average lower test scores than either white or Asian American students, those test scores are not necessarily the sole, nor perhaps even the predominant, reason for lower black academic achievement.
No, it ain't.
Indeed, it is possible that the lower test scores may be a result of cultural attitudes and of actions or inactions over a period of years based on those attitudes.
Now look at you. You think you're smart. You want to be smart.
More so than a cause of academic failures.
I didn't heard it all.
While it has long been known that, historically, the average IQ of blacks has been about 85, compared to a national average of 100, what has not been so widely known is that the average IQ of blacks in the North was for years consistently higher than that of blacks in the South. A 1942 study of freshmen at black colleges found the superiority of freshmen from northern schools over those from southern schools was found to persist throughout the colleges. As already noted, black soldiers from some northern states scored higher on mental tests than whites from some southern states during the First World War. From that same era, European immigrants from cultures where education was not a high priority for ordinary people, parts of Eastern and Southern Europe, for example, scored no higher on mental tests than American blacks, and, in some communities, their children scored lower than northern black children attending the same schools. The low test scores of some European immigrant children cannot be automatically attributed to their being new to the United States.
Probably be like 10 more minutes.
There have been settled communities of white.
I still got to pack and get in the shower, and I got to get ready to get up in the morning. Probably going to do about 10 more minutes.
With test scores similar to those of blacks, where these have been culturally isolated people, such as the inhabitants of the Hebrides Islands off Scotland, or people living in Tennessee mountain communities, hillbillies, or inhabitants of canal boat communities in Britain. In short, some kinds of cultures tend to produce lower mental test scores, whether the people in those cultures are black or white, American or European. As someone has aptly said, the tests are not unfair. Life is unfair, and the tests measure the results.
Yeah.
No one chooses which culture to be born into, or can be blamed for how that culture evolved in centuries past.
You're responsible for
In business ownership, as in other ways, the pattern among black Americans has followed the pattern of rednecks in earlier times.
This video is longer than the ones I saw. Yang, I swear. I swear. And my back killing me on this motherfucker. I might fast forward to some good, to the one part I seen. I might fast forward. Where was it? Where I wanted to see. Yeah, the boys in the hood. I wanted to see what the hell they had to say right here.
If you carry a gun, then you need a USCCA membership. Hoping for the best isn't a good defense plan. When it comes to self-defense,
second half of the 20th century and the declining effectiveness of the American criminal justice system at the same time allowed borrowed and counterproductive cultural traits to continue and flourish among those blacks who had not yet moved beyond that culture.
Over there creating the crack import agency. I meant the CIA. Damn, my bad. That shit slipped. I forgot, man.
Sure.
That was back when they created the Federal Black Investigators. I mean, damn, slipped again, man. The FBI tripping.
By prolonging the life of a chaotic, counterproductive, dangerous, and self-destructive subculture in many urban ghettos. Crime and violence were among the features of this subculture that were artificially prolonged. Prior to the 1960s, while black males had a higher murder rate than other males, their murder rate was also declining more sharply than the general murder rate. Subsequently, the general murder rate in the United States and the murder rate for black males both reversed and began rising sharply, that of black males more sharply than others. In short, the drastic changes in law enforcement and social morality during the 1960s had particularly adverse effects on the behavior and actions of blacks, and on black victims of the criminals in their midst. Intellectuals have also played a role, along with the welfare state, in prolonging and legitimizing a counterproductive culture among blacks. Nowhere was the effect of the white liberalism of the 1960s on the social evolution of black culture more devastating than in the disintegration of the black family. The raw facts are these. As of 1960, 51% of black females between the ages of 15 and 44 were married and living with their husbands.
Oh, yeah.
Another 20% were divorced, widowed, or separated.
That shit.
And only 28% had never been married.
That shit ain't nowhere near the
20
numbers
years
today.
later, only 31% of black women in these age brackets were married and living with their husbands, while 48% had never married. By 1994, an absolute majority, 56%, of black women in these age brackets were never married, and only 25% were married and living with.
That's because it was a point in time in history, in order to get food stamps or government assistance, they couldn't have a man in the house. That was step one into destroying the black unification of the family, of the black family. That was step one. For a while, you couldn't get government assistance, WIC, food stamps, or none of that. What if you had a man in the house? It didn't matter if that nigga had a job. You got a man in your house. You can't get none of this government assistance, which is why today you see half these girls be so quick to divorce, because at the end of the day, if push come to shove, they get government assistance. You see the girls in the hood, they'll never get back with baby daddy, even if he changed and want to get the family together. They not, because they cool with that government assistance. And cool with getting his help on child support while fucking Poo-Poo and Ray Ray and Pookie and Ray Ray getting they help whenever he make a little dope money and he slide them a little quick 200, 300, 400 and some good pipe. Nigga, this shit was strategically put together.
Their husbands. Accordingly, while 2/3 of black children were living with both parents in 1960, only 1/3 were by 1994. While only 22% of black children were born to unmarried women in 1960, 70% were by 1994. White liberals, instead of comparing what has happened to the black family since the liberal welfare state policies of the 1960s were put into practice, compare black families to white families and conclude that the higher rates of broken homes.
I saw a video and the black people in LA were hesitant about black people moving there in the 50s, I think. I have to see why.
Homes and unwed motherhood among blacks are due to a legacy of slavery. But why the large-scale disintegration of the black family should have begun 100 years after slavery is left unexplained. Whatever the situation of the black family relative to the white family in the past or the present, it is clear that broken homes were far more common among blacks at the end of the 20th century than they were in the middle of that century or at the beginning of that century, even though blacks at the beginning of the 20th century were just one generation out of slavery. The widespread and casual abandonment of their children and of the women who bore them by black fathers in the ghettos of the late 20th century was, in fact, a painfully ironic contrast with what had happened in the immediate aftermath of slavery 100 years earlier, when observers in the South reported desperate efforts of freed blacks to find family members who had been separated from them during the era of slavery. A contemporary journalist reported meeting black men walking along the roads of Virginia and North Carolina, many of whom had walked across the...
You didn't know that, Lane, for real? About what he's saying or what I said? That was a real thing, bro. It was a movie where I kind of think of the name of... Peace out, bro. Time to hit the stack. Hey, because I ain't finna lie. I told you 10 minutes. I was ending this at noon. If you can wait 2 minutes. But yeah, I still got to pack and I got to get up early at 6 o'clock. But, have a good trip. Appreciate you. I got you, gang. Hey, I'm trying to think of that movie, but it was a movie that demonstrated that, where the social worker was coming through and she was in that motherfucker cleaning up, getting rid of all the new stuff that the pimp and all that her new husband was buying, her new boyfriend was buying. And then when she did end up getting back with the father's kids, that's when she finally got off government assistance, when he actually found the good job working in the factory. What's the name of that movie? Hold up. Movie. Hold on. Y'all should go watch it. Where black lady avoided social worker. Not now. Was it Claudine? Yeah, this was... I want to say this was it. Can you dig it? Or was it... what was it? I have to find it.
Chanel Monet. Set It Off. Oh, these niggas tripping. Was it Hidden Figures? Nah, that's the Roger P. Henson. Nah, it was an old movie. It was an old movie, bro. I want to say it was this, Claudine. Yeah, this is it, Claudine. This is it. This is the movie. This is the movie right here. I was right. It's called Claudine. It was based in New York. Oh, there it is, 1970s, based in Harlem. Go watch that movie, bro. That'll tell you all about what I was just saying and what he was just saying. Go watch that movie, Claudine. You would be like, what the fuck? Bro, you will see how quick that little daughter out there playing. She looked, that motherfucker took off down the street. She gone, run up the stairs. The mama like, baby, what's wrong? What's wrong, baby? She like, Mom, the social worker coming down the street. Nigga, they got to cleaning that goddamn house up. Put everything new away. Hid the TV, the iron board, the sofa, the chair, the table. She told the boyfriend, get out. You gotta go. And he didn't get out in time, so she tried to hide his ass in the bathroom. And that's how they got caught. And the first thing the lady said, you know our rules. You can't have no assistance if you got a man in the house. Now, do this man stay here? No, he don't stay here. He just a friend. What kind of friend? Do he give any financial benefits here? Bro, go watch that movie. That shit ain't a game. It was really like that. That's where half these girls get that from. I'm cool with a baby daddy because government gonna help. That's where they get that from. That shit had me rolling when I seen it at first. I'm like, oh, she gone. She see the ops. Until I kept watching. The social worker coming down the street, mama. I was like, what she just say? Them niggas in there scrambling. I'm talking about scrambling, bro. She up in there pushing him. You gotta go. Get out. Get out. You gotta go. He like, I'm not going nowhere. I'll pay for this stuff in here. I'm not going nowhere. And she like, well, hide then. You gotta hide. Y'all know they accent. She like, you gotta hide. Hold up. Let me see if I can find the clip. Claudine social worker scene. Here it is. Look. Look at this. Nigga, watch how she took off on his ass. Hold up. Is this it? Look at,
I got it.
Look.
That is my mouth quivering.
Look.
Nice cream. Please.
It might not have been that part where she was running down the street. I think I put two different scenes together. But look.
20 cents. Wait a minute.
Look.
6, 5, 5. What you gonna buy me, Mr. Marshall? I don't know. What do you want? Nothing you got. Maybe your mama needs something I got.
Uh-oh.
Mr. Marshall.
Maybe your mama needs something I got.
Every time my mother shits over you, it's gonna cost you a quart of blood. You think about that.
Oh, wait. Yeah, because the man in the house always felt like it was the son. That's why you think, where you think that come from in today's time, where they, I don't want no woman with kids. I ain't playing no stepdaddy, because she know the most niggas know they gotta play daddy with the son. He used to being the man in the house, the man in her life. He ain't finna let no random come in.
You ready?
Watch this. Watch this.
Just as ready as I can get.
Watch this.
Hey, where y'all going?
It's the bell.
I don't hear no bell. What bell? You hear a bell?
No, I didn't hear nothing. Francis with the ice cream.
Hold on. Where is that?
How come you hear that bell?
Yeah, okay, we get it.
Oh, here we go, right here. Here we go. This part. I was too slow. Here we go, right here. Look. Here she go. So she wasn't running down the street. She was at the window. Here we go. Listen.
The social worker's here. Oh, shit.
Nigga, they hiding toasters, hiding coffee mugs, hiding the new TV. Look at this, bro. Look, baby, get rid of this TV and hide. He looking like... Look, hiding rugs. Bro, this shit is not a game. Hide lamps. Nigga, this shit is not a game, bro. This shit is not a game. I'm gonna see y'all in the next one, man. Make sure y'all stay safe, stay sane. Keep it on you. It's rough outside. I love y'all. That shit was crazy, bro. That shit was crazy. That motherfucker said, "Ma, the social worker down the street." Dog.